Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Actually, not good afternoon. Good morning, I should say, at least on the East Coast. Welcome, everybody, to day 62 of Adventures in Middle-earth, Wilderland Adventures, The Watch on the Heath. I hope everyone is doing well and is looking forward to our stream today as much as I am. This has been a strange couple of weeks, obviously, living in the world, and this is one where I don't have to, say if you're in X place, because whatever place you're in, you're affected by what's been going on. And obviously, we in this community have had our own things that we've been dealing with. Again, that video that we just saw, I see these things, and it's always going to be a little bittersweet, obviously, because of what it reminds us of in terms of who actually created it. But in any case, we will, as I've mentioned before, we will have a chance to talk more about Kilobyte and his legacy over time. There are other plans that are in the works, hopefully to honor him. And of course, as I mentioned, ARVCon this year is going to be dedicated to his memory and is going to be dedicated to diabetes research and seeing what we can do to have an impact on this dread disease in our community. But that is for a later time. For today, we have got Wilderland Adventures, and I have just a few things to talk about before we get there. If you have not done so already, please follow the channel. Please check out the YouTube with !ArvTube, Twitter with !ArvTweets. Please retweet this stream. That is always appreciated. Please make sure to check out our Discord, !ArvCord. We're almost up to 200 members of the Discord, which is really awesome. So please consider jumping on board with us there, because that place is always happening and has a lot of fun stuff going on there during that time. So that's !ArvCord for that. The website for all of this is arvineleron.com, again, created by our friend Kilobyte. And you can find the schedule and all that kind of good stuff over there. On the financial side, thank you, Echo, !Arv Shop is the merchandise area where you can get a bunch of stuff, including stuff for Adventures in Middle-earth, with Terry Toon's illustrations there, and Infinity and Beyond material as well, and soon to be Espergenesis merchandise also. That can all be found over at that shop. !Arvtreon is the Patreon, currently sitting at $3.13. And we're trying to get that moving upwards again. That is definitely a big boost to the channel, and it allows us to do a lot of stuff, including paying for various, musics and videos and things like that, and PCs and all this stuff that goes back into the channel / goes back into my own writing, and both of those things are very much appreciated and hopefully have benefits to you folks as well if you like what it is that we do here. So please consider supporting us there. The sub button right above the video window, currently sitting at about 45 subs, I believe, at last check. Thank you for those of you who have resubbed so far. We're trying to move that above 50 as well. You can get inspirations for yourself, you can get copies of one of my band's albums on some of these places. I should have mentioned with the Patreon, so benefits there for you and the channel. And for the subs, you can also get inspirations. You can also get emotes to use everywhere across Twitch. And you can get all of those things that will benefit the community and benefit you within this channel. So please consider supporting us there as well. Schedule-wise, we have got this going on until about 1 to 1:15 p.m. at the latest. Then we will wrap and then we will be back at 4 p.m. Eastern for the Pen and Pixels and Heroes of the Monkey Tavern. I'm going to see if I can wrap that up today. And then moving back into The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Then on Wednesday, tomorrow night, we have got Dragon of Icespire. Oh, actually, wait a minute. I don't think we have Dragon of Icespire Peak tomorrow. I think that's actually next week. Hold on just a moment. I think that's actually next week, if I'm not mistaken. That is, not tomorrow, sorry. Thursday, instead, we have got, possibly, now this is still up in the air, the Academy for Wayward Writers, Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers class. As I mentioned, that is not yet confirmed. That's 8:30 p.m., but that's not yet confirmed. At 10 p.m., though, what is confirmed is Masters of the Dungeon. So we will definitely be having Masters of the Dungeon on Thursday evening at 10 p.m. And then Friday at 8:30 p.m. we have got Espergenesis returning to you, sponsored as always by Alligator Alley Entertainment. And Saturday at 7 p.m. we've got D&D with INB Curse of Strahd. So we've got a lot of stuff going on over those next couple of weeks. A lot of role play and stuff like that to do, which is going to be a good time. Last thing I want to mention is about the publishing side of things. Point Icarus is the way that you can pre-order a copy of my graphic novels, Icarus and Jelinek. Again, the more I see of this, the more amazing it is. We're now well into work on color and ink for Icarus. Jelinek is already completely done, so we're making great progress, and we should have that stuff out to you by May is the plan. So we're making great progress. Achala Fabio's art is amazing, and I just can't wait to share it with all of you. So that's coming in May. Exclamation Point Library will let you get a copy of my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, which is out now from Alligator Alley Entertainment in PDF and will be coming from the printers very soon. And last but certainly not least, of course, we have got Exclamation Point Grayshade KS. Again, that Kickstarter for my Grayshade stuff is currently on hold until things resolve a little bit. We had the wonderful luck of being ready to launch this in the middle of a global pandemic, which is not exactly what we planned, obviously, but we will get through it, and everyone is dealing with it, not just us. So we want to make sure that people are healthy before we, say, okay, now we're ready to go and do XYZ. So we will be talking more about that, however, as time goes on. So with that said, Adventures of Middle-earth Time has arrived, and I literally just looked back over to the window, and I just saw that everybody is currently not... I looked back over, and I see that everyone on my Zoom window has literally left their chairs. Because they know that I'm going through this thing, and so as a consequence, they're all doing this stuff. So I'm gonna, that's fine. I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna keep talking here. It's fine. And I'm gonna, what? In fact, look, here's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna slide over there. There, you can see what I see. See? You can see what I see. Oh, see now. See that? You see what this is about? You see what this is about? This is, yeah. I see how it is. It's fine. It's fine. Listen, I can lore master for empty chairs. Okay, this is just fine. It's fine. I'm gonna lore master for empty chairs. You walk across the withered heath. Suddenly, the form of Sauron himself storms from out of the darkness. That's right. He just strides across the land and sees you. And since you say nothing, he picks up an elbow and gives you the atomic drop from World Wrestling, and you're all finished. The party wipe. Yes. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Oh, God. Oh, really, Arudinel? There they all are. Now they have returned. Yes, they have. He's left again. It was funny, Trey, because I just looked over and literally I was just looking at chairs. And I'm just kind of like, all right, we got a bunch of chairs playing today. So here we are. We are just about ready to go. And we hope everyone is excited and looking forward to all the feels, because this campaign has been about all the feels as of late. And I'm looking forward to it today as well. I will start, first of all, with the gentleman right below me who is wearing his very dapper, by the way, looking very dapper in his shirt. This is what the well-dressed role player wears, I'm telling you, at some point, Tren, I have to figure out a way when we meet in person, having you cosplay as either Tawny or as Weller, and it'd probably be easier for you to cosplay as Tawny. Yeah. Having either one of those would be really interesting. Well, I don't know though, because are you, because Tawny is what, like 6 foot 7, 6? He's like 6'6" or something.
Look
6'5"
out,
or 6'6",
Tinder.
right?
He's the guy you were looking
6'10".
for.
He's 6'10". How tall are you in real life?
5'10".
5'10". Okay. Well, we just get you a foot elevator shoes, and then you should be good to go.
Right. And if I decide to cosplay as Weller, I only have to lose about 200 pounds.
Right. So it might be, it'll be quite a match of cosplay work. It'll be fun to see what happens. Anyway, it is my great pleasure to have Trendane with us, as always. Trend, how are you? How's life in the universe on your side of our pandemic-driven world? How are you right now?
As it was just discussing with Ty, I am very sleepy.
Yeah.
Very, very sleepy. Because I think I went to sleep around 1 and then I went to bed around 1. Didn't really sleep per se because I kept waking up sometimes to go to the bathroom, sometimes because the dreams that I was having were I was like, wait, no. Reset, start again. And I would close my eyes and jump into a different dream, just like, no, this was not cool.
It's a dream.
Yeah, pretty much. But I'm playing Tawny Bear the Hearthminder, who has an uncanny and apparently, for now, unerring ability to make his wisdom saving throws. But
That is very true.
that is going to come to an end very soon, I'm sure. And when it does, it will be a spectacular failure.
It will be, you'll get all the shadow all at once, just like just taking it
pretty
back.
much. Well, you got 42 points of shadow.
Just like Thanos, just snap your fingers. Oh, shadow.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I look forward to seeing how things happen. The party may need you because they are going into an area where the wisdom saving throws will come fast and furious, let me tell you. You're going from shadow to even darker shadow in just a moment. So that'll be great. But thanks, Trent. Always a pleasure to have you with us, and I look forward to seeing how Tawny does things as we keep him awake over time.
Good luck with that.
Right below him, of course, we normally would have Will. Will, for personal reasons, is not going to be able to be with us this week. He is very apologetic. He will absolutely be with us again next week with Bells on, and is looking forward to rejoining us. This was something he could not get out of, and it was completely understandable. So we will see Will back here next week. He normally plays Robar Staunton, who is the Dunedain and who has revealed royalty on more than one occasion when need be, and you'll have a chance to see more of that as time goes on. That should be his slogan, like Robar Staunton, I reveal royalty when I need to, like
at the river, like when he's trying to swim. Why doesn't he do it then?
That's true. That's true. He hasn't had the chance yet to just be like, look at it and go.
He could divert the flow of the river as it tries to get away from him.
The river's like, oh shit, game's up. Anyway, so that is the deal with Will. Moving right on, though, we do have a cat currently helping out her, the person that she owns, and that, of course, is Terry Tunes. Hello, Terry. How are you? I see Lorelai is doing fine and is hanging out with you right now.
She's trying to eat the mic again.
Yep.
Help! Ah!
Don't
stop pulling on the cord.
That's good rock star instincts. Actually, eat that mic.
It's true, yeah. What? Yeah, exactly. So how are you, Terry? How's life?
I'm good. Like what people don't know, of course, is that I made it here barely on time. Technically way too late, but like they were nice enough to wait on me because I completely screwed up the time for today. Anyway, here I am. Hi. I play Inge, daughter of Ida. She is a dwarf and a wanderer, and she has a pony with plot armor
that is continually self-declared. This is like the new self-quarantining. You like self-declare plot armor and just like and he can't die. Why? Because plot armor. I'm like, I assign that. No, I just had this image of you, actually, the camera zooming in onto Lillimon with like this hastily scrawled, like a bunch of paper over it with hastily in crayon scrawled plot armor, like just on the top of it, like underlined.
Plus 16 AC.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
Or just like I'm imagining like a hastily made amulet made from like office supplies, like the chain is made from like paper clips.
Yeah, exactly.
And just a piece of paper that says amulet of protection plus 80
yeah,
or
plus
something.
Exactly, it just comes it up like it's crossed out plus 20, like you keep adding just in case. Oh man. Yes. Well, it is exciting to have Inga with us, and yes, this is of course a very personal mission as well for Inga because she's also trying to help her mom, and we'll talk more about that in just a moment. And always a pleasure to have Terry with us on Tolkien Tuesdays. And last but certainly not least, we have of course Amal, who was with us, and Amal was talking with Trent and me before we got started in the green room, as we call it, about life and about things and about stuff, and man, we all agreed that it's sort of a little surreal at the moment, some of the things that we're dealing with. So I guess I will just ask, how are you hanging in there so far, Amal, as of yet?
I'm real glad to be about to play a game
in
which characters have to endure awful, bad, terrible things as a matter of course in their day-to-day. It is very far removed from my actual life, and will definitely be a fantasy.
Escapism.
But yeah, right. So escape. No, it has been a very interesting time. In as much as there has been actually a lot of good news that is starkly shadowed by the bad news. But the good news has been that. I think since last we spoke, like This Is How You Lose the Time War has been, it's been a finalist for the LA Times Book Prize in their newly inaugurated Ray Bradbury Award, alongside like truly staggering people like Marlon James and Ted Chiang and Namwali Serpell. So like Max and I are really thrilled about that. It's been nominated for a Nebula Award as well.
Also
and
claps.
thank you for Best Novella, and it's been nominated for a Kitschy Award, which is sponsored by I think Blackwell Books, for best. This is hilarious because it is a novella, but you know it's cosplaying a novel, so it's like nominated for I think best novel and best cover design, which I'm delighted to see because Greg Stadnick, who designed the cover, did such an absolutely astonishing job. And a thing that I kept hearing over and over from people last year, that's the look how beautiful it is. And honestly, for such like a weird and twisty book to have a cover that is that clean and beautiful, and it's like if the hardcover is like embossed, it's just gorgeous. So anyway, to see him recognized for the work that he did on it has been like a real delight, because like the number of people who told me that they bought the book for the cover alone or for like the conjunction of cover and title has been very gratifying. So anyway, it's been getting all this like lovely awards attention. The award ceremony for the LA Times Book Prize and the Nebula Awards is in LA, where there are lots of outbreaks of coronavirus, as far as I understand. At the end of this month, I was supposed to be teaching a workshop in Italy. It's also not happening. And it's, and I like one of the things that we were saying was just that, you know, you finger gun and you go, whelp and stuff, but it's actually, you know, weirdly the farthest thing from my mind to actually be disappointed by not being able to go to these things. Instead it's like I have family members who are just very severely at risk from this, and so like self-isolating is the only responsible thing that I can do within my parameters and stuff. And so anyway, it's a wacky, strange time. There was going to be so much travel this year, and all of it literally up to and including the travel in like July and August is very up in the air as to whether or not any of it's going to happen. And it would be a relief if it didn't, honestly. I think I saw a tweet that was like, Japan has canceled schools and Italy has canceled all sporting events and has placed the whole country under quarantine, and America is still wondering what to do about Coachella. And I was like, So I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yeah. It is weird. It's weird.
But anyway, all to say, things are within circumstances not as bad as they could be. And I am playing a character called The River, who is a woodsman of Rosgobel. She is a fighty bard and is a warden with heraldic expression. And she and her faithful Hound of Mirkwood Stone are presently having a rough time of it in these wastes.
Very much so. And yeah, flying enemy. I've known what to do about Coachella for years. Should have asked me. True facts. And yeah, Echo does make a good point that the one good thing about this whole pandemic is it means we get to play more D&D. I mean, I guess
I am here for that.
I mean,
have
listen,
to say,
yeah.
I am extremely delighted that technology has afforded us the capacity to play D&D without leaving our homes. I mean, like, without leaving any one person's home, and that we can congregate in this home of Twitch.
Yes.
And that is nice.
It's absolutely, I totally agree, and I am glad that we are all together to do this. Yes, I mentioned this on my Discord, but my university has just put all of our classes online through March 27th. So after I'm done streaming today, I'm going to be spending the next couple of days figuring out how the hell to convert a completely offline class to an online class when I've never taught online. So I have my, day sort of laid out before me because wasn't like I had stuff that I wanted to do too. But again, set against, they're doing it out of an abundance of caution. I'm not blaming them. I totally understand why they're doing it, but it's just like, this is what I always tell my students at the beginning of the spring semester, that they need to make sure they have their emails clear, because given weather circumstances, that's one of the only ways to get in contact with them if we cancel. Then we have an incredibly mild winter with barely a flake of snow on the ground. And it turns out the reason that I need this email is because we have a pandemic to deal with instead. So life comes at you fast, man. But anyway, I look forward to having this wonderful crew of people with me and all the fields today as we continue on with the Watch on the Heath. Let's talk a little bit about what we did in our last session. The party has been crossing, the company, I should say, which I need to refer to them more as. It is the company. That's the company of heroes.
Wait, what have you been calling us?
Oh, either
Hashtag not sponsored by the game of the same name.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and speaking of that, by the way, that actually reminds me, there was just an announcement that the Free League Publishing Company, which is the same company that does Tales from the Loop and other games like that, has signed a deal with Sophisticated Games to to pick up the One Ring and Adventures of Middle Earth stuff starting in June. So
don't pick up the One Ring. Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just leave it there.
Don't tempt me. Yeah. But so that is the case, and so I'm not going to get into details about this, but there may or may not be messages that I'm trying to send to see about maybe a certain previously sponsored stream of just saying things. But yeah, I'm actually really excited about the fact that they're picking it up, because Free League does a lot of good stuff. Tales from the Loop is honestly, and I don't think Tren was on when I was talking about this, but Terry knows because she was there for this for that event. The Tales for the Loop experience that I had playing was one of the most amazing. I don't know how you felt, Tren, but it just was so wild about how perfectly that game captures the feel of that time and the era. And maybe it's because Johnny, Video Store Cowboy, who was the GM, did such a good job doing it as well, game mastering it for us. But it just is... I was really impressed, and they are the ones that's the company that does Tales from the Loop that I was so impressed by. So I am very excited that they're picking it up, and hopefully we'll see what happens down the line. But anyway, but the company has been passing across the waste in an attempt to find this watchtower, which both they and many of the dwarves with whom they consulted believe is connected somehow with the Gibbet King, who revealed himself several chapters ago as being apparently the main kind of antagonist that the party is dealing with, the one who is really reflective of this growing shadow within Wilderland. The party has had chances to both meet him kind of in a roundabout fashion, sometimes through dreams. Sometimes they've had a chance to meet him directly by just fighting the hell out of him and his horde of orcs, which has happened before. And now the party is, one might say, taking the fight to him by actually going to find where it is that he might have gone. And their lead on this is a place that is known as Zarakinbar, the watchtower, one of the watchtowers that the dwarves built to keep watch on the dragons in what is now known as the Withered Heath. And so the party traveled from the Lonely Mountain, from Erebor, in an attempt to do this, not only because the party as a whole thought it was important to continue what it is that and finish what they had started, but also for personal reasons, especially with someone like Inga, whose mother Ida is deeply sick from what is known as the rock fever, which has been made worse by the presence of this growing shadow. And so Inga has sworn to her mother and father that she will find a way to try to cure them if she can, and so has gone forth with the rest of her friends to try to discover the way to do this. The party passed across the waste, had several encounters and meetings. It is a deeply depressing place, and they've had to deal with multiple shadow point saving throws and all this kind of stuff as they've headed along. And at the very end of our session, our last session, they encountered a very strange ancient creature looking like an immensely old woman, but also partially tree-like, or so it seemed, called Witherfinger, who the party had an encounter with. They managed to convince her not to be scared off and frightened by them. She seemed to be particularly frightened by orcs. And she told them when this conversation was taking place that there are orcs, that they were heading north towards the mountains, the same direction that the party is going, and that they were carrying a heavy chain where she smelled smelled dark magic upon it. The heavy chain, which the party immediately assumed was the same chain that they saw back at the Dwimmerhorn, the same chain which apparently has been used to enslave dragons in the past, including Smaug's father. And so their experience of this was, well, obviously we're on the right track. Witherfinger also told them that when the orcs went north, that they were heading into an area which was very dangerous, and in particular, she warned them of the presence of huge snow trolls, creatures made by the enemy in the Elder Days. And so as the party looks forward to, by forward I mean looks ahead.
In the direction.
In the direction of where they are going, the party is heading into the Grey Mountains. They have another day or so to pass over the waste yet, but once they get through there, then they're going to be entering the Withered Heath, the Grey Mountains, and then have to deal with this issue, maybe with the snow trolls. Yes, sir. Trent/Tronny.
If this, what we presume was an Edwife, was actually male, would its name be With His Finger? Let's move on. Bad.
I'd like to point out that you said that, and literally the music for Terry Toon's sub went up right after that. So you're like, we call it With His Finger. Da 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 da. I was like, great. So
Totes did that on purpose. Totes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just if you ever get a chance, just ask Trent about Max von Sydow.
I feel like I needed to make a wisdom saving throw against that pun.
Yeah.
And I failed, and now it's going to haunt me forever.
Take
You're
20
welcome.
shadow points. God damn it. Anyway, let's
No.
moving right along. Let's get some music fired up here, and let's see. How about let's go with Protean Fields.
Protein fields.
Protean Fields forever. Okay. There we are, and some
Soybeans, as
soundscape.
far as the eye can see, it's just protein fields.
All right, there we go. And okay, where's my Oh, there we go. For a minute, I almost put up Werewolf Combat, and I'm like, that would have been disturbing. Like, this is what you hear. Blah, blah. No, you don't hear that.
No, that's the short story I just finished narrating for Drabblecast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's also the Monster Hearts game that I am playing, not on any medium that is to the public, but yes.
Ah, okay.
Werewolves.
And yeah, Trent, can you? I guess the
I already did.
You said okay. Thank you. Oh my gosh, with the resubs. Thank you so much for the resub to Terry Tunes, by the way. Again, thank you so much to Nonstop for the Tier 2 31-month resub. Oh my god.
Woo!
That is sick. Thank
Can't
you, dudes.
stop, non-stop. Woo!
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love all those emotes. I love that new one too, the Wablam, which we're able to use everywhere. And again, oh my god, and all of those emotes, like, not like 70% of them were done by Kilobyte. Every time I see things, I'm like, oh yeah, and Kilobyte did that, and he did that one, and he did that one. Like,
You know, Arf, I'm a bit offended that you never asked me to make any emotes for you.
Oh.
I'm speechless. Why did I not do that? I don't know.
I'm
Because
meanwhile
you're a jerk. That's
over here being a weird foreigner to Twitch and going, what are emotes?
Oh,
Sorry.
I beg your pardon. So those are basically these emojis. So like the which
Okay.
way, Arvany which, that you can see on stream. Arvany whoa, which is me looking shocked. Arvany what, which is me looking the way that I often do.
That's adorable. Okay.
Yeah. So those
I
are all
see.
things you get when you're subbed, and that you can use them on any Twitch channel. And so
Wait, do I have those?
Yeah, if you're subbed to me.
Probably.
If you only are Patreon
Oh.
support, then the Patreon
Okay.
gives you other benefits, but not
Oh,
the
okay,
subs.
okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. it's a
Gotcha.
Twitch
Sorry.
thing. So yeah.
For those of you who are on the Discord, which if you're not on the Discord, get on the Discord, because then you'll see things like the music video that Nonstop posted this morning, some of the music from the next Pathfinder, Path of the Righteous.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, really good stuff.
Yeah, it was
Very-
good stuff. That music channel has great stuff. Shadow posted some more Porcupine Tree stuff too, and I'm like, why is every Porcupine Tree song awesome? I don't understand. Anyway, yeah, Terry, I have put literally in the top of my to-do list, get Terry to make emotes in all caps. I have no idea why I didn't think of that before. That would be so awesome, and especially because I could, yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that now. We will talk
Just
about
like
that
the
later.
most obvious thing, like.
Well, but it's no. You know why? I think part of it is because I always get worried about asking people to do anything. Obviously, I try to pay people for everything, and then I'm like looking at my limited budget. So I always try to be careful about it. And I must have at some point thought, oh, I had you do this thing for Adventures of Middle Earth. That's cool. And I have you draw this other thing and whatever. So I must have assumed then like I can't also have her do this. And then time passed, and so yeah. Of course, I would love you to do that. Oh my God, amazing, incredible. Party member emotes for inspirations. Holy shit. So like, you mean figure out a way to make it so that when they inspire people, they can somehow use one of Terry's emotes? Oh my God.
But like, I mean, like that sounds cool. But like, remember how many games ARF runs on this channel and how many characters are there? Like,
well, you'll just be
for
busy
him.
for a while, Terry. All right, because you volunteered yourself and said, "Oh, just kidding." She's like 2 weeks later. All right, here's your 30th emote. I'm gonna. Oh man. Okay. Even if it needs BTTV. Yes. No. Exactly. This is a great. Yes. This is awesome. All right. I have put that down. What am I even doing? I wrote get Terry to make emotes. Then as soon as I saw the thing about use characters as emotes, I put in what with capital letters. How am I possibly going to know what that means later on? I think I was just like, wow.
When I try to take notes during D&D, that's what it's like.
Exactly. Like, don't trust him. What about the cart? You're like, what does this mean? I don't know what does this mean?
I write down the word I'm hearing at that moment.
Exactly.
So it's like every third word in a sentence, and I have no idea what the hell these notes are supposed to mean.
Oh, God. All right, let's get into this. Wow. Thank you so much for reminding me, Terry. That is an incredible, amazing thing, and I will absolutely follow up with you later on.
I feel like I should regret this.
Yep, you will, but whatever. Too late. You said it. So... anyway, the party has been crossing, as I said, over the waste, and so now, just as Witherfinger has disappeared, it is late afternoon as we are speaking, and I will now hand things back over to the party. As the party, I guess I probably should set them up. I take that back. Let's make it the morning of the next day because they were pretty much done with that evening anyway. So morning of the next day. So this is now going into day 7. And you estimate that you have about, if you had to guess, about a day and a half or so left before you get to the Grey Mountains, which you can see clearly looming up before you as you travel. Yes, you were going to
Question.
Sure.
I can't remember if we had done Tawny Bear's research thing that evening or decided not to. Like, did that question come up?
I think you did because that was one of the reasons why I want us to start us the morning because I think you said you were going to do it that day and then that was going to be, yeah.
Cool.
And speaking of notes, by the way, do you remember, Tren, what secrets Tawny has learned so far? Because I want to make sure I'm not giving you things that I didn't talk about before.
Oh,
well, I remember there was the thing about the, we talked about this Chamber of Winds, which you made all kinds of jokes about. I remember that.
That's right. Good times.
And also, I remember telling you as well, I remember now, I think I also told you about this note of the Raven's Perch, that there was this small perch at the top of the tower where dwarves would keep raven messengers. I believe I told you that. And I think that's all that I've told you so far. I think that's all that you've learned so far. Because I think you've gotten 2 secrets. Because you didn't do it every day. I think you did it every other
every
night
other day.
Yeah.
Every other day.
So I think you've gotten 2 secrets so far. So, yeah. Possibly Coven. I'll have to think about that. Possibly. Could be. Yeah, flying at me. Exactly. Sauron, Prophecy, Applesauce, Budget Lodge. Exactly. Like, that's exactly what it's like. It's just, oh my God. Anyway. All right, so I will now hand things back over to the party. It is the morning of now day 6, and we are, as I mentioned, you estimate about a day and a half to proceed forward. Does the party have anything, or the company have anything that it wishes to kind of, I don't know whether you had a chance to speak at all, because the Witherfinger thing happened right at the end of our last session, so I didn't know if anyone wanted to kind of touch base on the Witherfinger stuff. You don't have to, but I want to give you that opportunity before we continue with Journey stuff.
I am curious to know whether I can't remember. I'm sorry if River had done a roll for this before, but I'm wondering if River has heard of Entwives or if there's anything in her you know, in the songs that she's heard and stuff like that, that might at least make her connect with her fingers to that or wonder.
Without a role, I would absolutely say that she would have heard of Entwives, not only because of your musical background, but because, I mean, you would have heard that these things existed.
Okay.
Although, again, I'm sorry, what?
Sorry?
Especially with the connection to Radagast, I'm sure he probably...
Yeah.
Exactly. So now, having said that, you know, a lot of what you know is told by legend because you certainly have never seen one yourself. Unless this was one that you just saw, and it's you know, not clear. But if this is one, it might fit the tales, you know, that you've heard of. Sure.
Yeah. I guess I'm wondering if there's anything that, like, in retrospect, having been, as it were, penetrated by this creature and stuff, whether there is an opportunity to, like, reflect on what happened and learn anything otherwise.
I would say so you don't have any, there doesn't seem to be any kind of lasting, you know, obvious effects to you, like, oh, I feel somehow this way or that way. Although in some ways Witherfinger feels to you to be kind of part of this place and not part of it. I mean, clearly is not native to this land, and yet the surreal nature, we've talked a lot about things being surreal today, the surreal nature of this does sort of strike you as kind of a piece, you know, like, it's almost like, of course, you had these weird wriggling tendril twigs in your nose and mouth, and of course you did, right? Like, it's bizarre, obviously in the extreme, but it seems to kind of fit with the experience of what you've gone through so far. But that said, there doesn't seem to be any particular magical effects or like memories that it's triggering you about other experiences like this, I would say.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I just figured, like, you know, she's going to be thinking about this for some time.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's sure,
like,
I imagine. Absolutely. And as the party sort of continues for the next day, and I'm going to move...
No, all I'm saying is that I just think that we should consider ourselves a company rather than a party. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I'm not feeling very much like a party these days, I have to say. So, no argument here.
Shouldn't we be, like, making money if we were a company?
That's a very transactional way of looking at it. I think we should try to resist the infiltration of capital into our language as much as possible.
Indeed, we are.
Definitely a thing that River would say.
Our company.
Oh, man.
Wait, but why aren't we a fellowship? Aren't we?
We are our fellowship.
Only 4 of us. 6 if you count.
I was about to say.
Well,
and then, like, Inge turns around and, like, pats Lilleman on the head. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean it.
He's like,
You didn't mean it. Okay, I didn't mean it.
I thought there's no minimum in the name of a fellowship for.
Well, there has to be at least 2, I would imagine.
Well, sure.
We
We
are
are definitely
at least
more
2.
than 2. I just think fellowship sounds better than company. I don't know. Although we do accompany each other. So I suppose there's... Yeah.
Well, I don't know. At least 2 of us do play instruments and sing, so we could be a band.
Oh, I felt that take 3 shadow points off my shoulders. I feel like that's what should happen here.
Okay, removing those shadow points.
Yeah.
No.
you would love to do that.
I am speaker for the DM.
Yes. I was going to say.
He's
This
just
is
a
the
little
democracy. We just vote. Do we remove the shadow points? Raise your hand.
a DM-ocracy.
Oh, wow. You can tell that we are definitely in a surreal/tired state. I think everybody these are
Actually, I will say, in a moment of slight seriousness, I teach this comics course, and yesterday we were looking at The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, which is a fantastic comic. The volume 1 is Ryan North and Erica Henderson together. but we're looking at Squirrel Girl immediately following Watchmen, and
Oh,
I
wow.
was drawing attention to the fact that while that might seem like an opposite, I'd actually encourage the students to see them as two ends of a spectrum of satirizing superheroes, essentially, and that they are both, like, you've got the comedian at the heart of Watchmen as this dark, gritty, angry thing, but Squirrel Girl also uses humor as kind of her superpower and affects the world in this lighthearted way and stuff. So as part of talking about like different theories of humor, I was saying how a joke is an inherently surreal thing. How like the mechanism of a joke, this is like, I think Kat Valenti's insight is where I first heard this, but if someone were to actually slip and fall on a banana peel, it would be awful. They would be hurt. They might break something. That would
But
be
it
bad.
would also be hilarious.
It's only hilarious in the context of someone not actually being hurt, right? In this kind of surreal area where any kind of damage is not lasting and doesn't have consequence. So you need that, and I mean, it's iconic now as well from, decades of that visual kind of metaphor standing in for a lot of, literally slapstick only functions because there is no damage that is dealt.
That's right.
If you think of like the Coyote and the Roadrunner and stuff, that the reason that continues to be funny is that it doesn't matter how many rocks the Coyote is crushed beneath and stuff, he is never going to die. So there is something inherently surreal in the action of that joke. So anyway, all this to say, we're feeling surreal, and therefore we're making jokes to kind of align ourselves
Ergo,
with this kind of very strange reality.
So-
I like that, yes.
So in Canada, you don't have a concept for Schadenfreude, do you?
Oh, but we borrow the German.
Because I was like, it's only funny because nobody gets hurt. Like,
No, but I mean, yeah, but
maybe that's why nobody gets German humor.
No, but like, that is different, right? Like, it's usually not Schadenfreude when you see slapstick, right? Like, isn't Schadenfreude like taking pleasure from someone's pain, but in a kind of like vengeful way, in a kind
Can
of like.
be either. It could,
Oh, really?
It can be
Okay.
either. Yeah.
Also, I think there's also a karmic component to me where Schadenfreude is always
deserved
like
it,
you deserve
yeah.
what you got. Yeah.
That
So-
can also be, but it doesn't have to.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Or
Okay.
it's just somebody is in pain and you're laughing at it. The reason
Oh,
for
okay.
it is completely
Interesting.
out there.
Okay.
Look,
This is good. I've
look,
learned
Terry. Maybe that was the original meaning of the word, but since we've taken it for ourselves, we'll do what we want with it. All right, because
Sure,
that's how we
I'm
roll
from-
here in America, and Canada
Sure,
just
I'm
takes
from
our
from the
effluence.
country that
and,
pronounces the word brezel as pretzel. Like, I'm not gonna take anything.
I want
What?
some pretzels.
Wait, what? The word.
Brezel.
Pretzels?
You guys pronounce it as pretzel, and I don't know why. There's
And
no
what-
P in there or
You
T,
pronounce it
just
like an evil
brezel.
mad scientist. Pretzel. That's how you.
But
Brezel.
it's written P-R-E.
No, just in English. In German, it's spelled B-R-E-Z-E-N. No, wait. No, L in the end. B-R.
Brezel.
Brezel. Yeah.
Pretzel.
Brezel.
We will take your pretzel and we'll like it. Well.
That's awesome! I did not know this. Oh, I like learning German facts from you. It is good. Okay. We should probably play this
I was
game.
gonna say,
Complete bullshit.
So while all this has been going on,
Yeah.
we killed all the orcs, we found the watchtower, we melted the
Yeah,
chain,
not
and
so
returned
much.
it to the.
Not so
Now
much.
we're on our way home, so
Yes, exactly.
it's good.
Yeah. No, these are, however, the discussions that definitely occur. And as you draw close to the border of the withered heath on the evening of the seventh day, you have encountered very little on that seventh day. In fact, since the encounter with Witherfinger, you have seen even less. Not that you saw much living stuff before, but you've seen even less of it now. The wind is getting increasingly cold as you sort of pass closer here to the foothills of the Grey Mountains, and they loom up like a scar in the wilderness ahead of you as you get closer to them. I'm going to ask everyone to make their daily wisdom saving throw as we get to the evening of the seventh day. And I do want to remind everyone in chat that inspirations have returned. So again, you have inspirations for everything. Not that it's going to matter.
16. Woo!
Okay.
9.
Wow.
Oh no!
Wow. Oh, it has happened. It has happened.
Told you.
Also, Tani, are you willing
I'm
to...
I'm doing
Okay. We're trying, I should say.
14.
Okay. So, strangely, Inga feels kind of more heartened over the last day. Maybe the fact that everyone else has the feeling of surrealness. I'm reminded a little bit in The Hobbit of when all the dwarves are incredibly depressed, and only Bilbo kind of felt upbeat at this time, basically. And that's essentially what we're talking about here. Inga feels good about things, but neither the river nor Tani nor Robar feel it. The weight of what they're about to come to sort of looming in front of them. The fact that they've gone this weary way and now they're going into the even worse part is definitely not giving them excitement. And
Wait,
so
wait, I just want to double check this. A 14 is a failure
yes,
on this? Christ.
that is correct.
Okay. That's great.
It's a close failure, but it is a failure.
Amazing.
So,
Great.
The
awesome.
river is at 9 shadow
good.
points. Robar is at 5.
Oh,
Tani is at 1. For the first time, Tani, you feel slightly down about all this. Like, Tani, the ultimately resilient person. But Inga gains no more this time.
Is filled with determination.
Is filled with determination, exactly. And the evening passes for all of you with several sparks from your small campfire kind of flying around and being lost in the dirt and dust and wind that continually blows. The wind has been blowing ceaselessly over the last few days. It seems like it never stops completely. And I don't know if anyone's had the experience of being in an environment where the wind, I like wind a lot, but if you've ever been in an environment where the wind never stops, like it's just constant all the time, it does sort of wear at you, and all of you have felt in exposed areas of your skin the kind of grittiness. In fact, probably I would assume, this is up to whether you want to do this, but I would guess that you probably would have started like carrying the the bandana over your mouth and nose to cover it because of the grit that's kind of coming from this area. So few trees here that there's nothing to hold the dirt and dust down. So it's almost like it's not quite like a desert, but it almost feels that way in terms of what's kicking up into your eyes. I heard someone about to ask me a question.
I wasn't going to ask a question, but
Or
I
a
was
comment.
going to say that if the wind is like that, then it's probably inimical to singing or speaking and stuff.
You can still be heard. I mean, so you
yeah.
know, like you could
Yeah.
still be heard.
So, but the thing is that, so what I'm imagining here is that River is feeling increasingly weighed down by the shadowy darkness of this place and not really feeling even up to singing or storytelling the way that she normally would of an evening. But the thing about harps is that they do get played by the wind. If you just like sit a harp out into a wind, the wind touching the strings will actually produce sound. So what she will do is sort of even within this, she's kind of going to think about like this strange acoustic opportunity here, where she's going to like pull out her harp and sort of listen to the sound that the wind makes on it, and then sort of try to play with it, essentially.
Oh, interesting.
To kind of like hear, like if the wind pulls a note from it, then she'll like sort of start to play an accompaniment. And if the wind pulls a different note, then she'll shift to adjust to that and sort of start to try and build something that sounds like she is. The way that she's thinking of it essentially is like she's trying to weave music out of this landscape, nevertheless, and try to kind of understand it.
Can you tell me what? Right. So I was about to ask. Can you tell me what you would like for the music to convey? What are you trying
flat.
to? Sorry.
Sorry.
A flat.
A flat. Yes, thank you. That's the key. All right, let's go. My tempo. No. What are you trying to? What thematically are you trying to communicate through the music, or are you trying to kind of understand the wind musically? If you follow what I'm asking.
I think it is sort of both in that I think that she's going to start by trying to understand the wind and like listen to it closely.
Okay.
But that as she's playing, the thing that is going to, I think she's going to play a lot of like long sustained notes that have the sort of air of melancholy, but with an undercurrent of hope isn't quite right, but it's overwhelmingly it's endurance. I think she's like trying to, there's this kind of sense of like, this is a landscape that has endured something enormous and is still here despite a lot of loss and stuff like that. And I think she's going to feel a kind of kinship with that.
I got you. As you begin to play, I would like you to make a perception check for me, please. Yeah.
19.
So as you are playing, you allow, as you say, the wind to kind of play across the harp strings. You begin to, as you say, interweave your own notes, kind of in conversation, might be a good way to put it, with the wind. And as your discussions sort of progresses, the conversation happens, the rest of you can kind of hear this strange note, like listening to wind chimes on a porch, for example, kind of going back and forth. There's a strange ethereal nature to it. And you almost are reminded as the wind kind of plays across the strings, River, of the way that the branches and twigs of Witherfinger kind of brushed across your face. There's a similar kind of like barely touching some strings, touching a little more strongly others. And then as you play, you hear this faint sound in the distance coming well from over the mountains. And you sort of pause for a moment, and the wind just picks up and like plays a couple of string notes a little bit, but quietly. And then you play again some more, and you hear it again. And you hear what sounds like the faintest and distant, but clearly roar of some enormous creature. It is, and the reason that it's so strange to you is that it's obviously very far off. But you can kind of hear it almost as like a low bass note in a way, underpinning the music that you're playing, almost like that, underneath the notes that you play. You did not hear it before. In fact, even when you stop playing, the cry or the roar goes away. But when you play it, it's almost as if your notes and the wind's notes are resonating in such a way that it then makes this other sound audible at the bottom.
Huh.
You have never heard a sound like this before, or like a roar like this before, by the way.
Does it sound like, because there's like a slight difference between something that sounds like that is produced by a creature versus something that is produced by like a landscape?
Hard to tell, but you would doubt this is a landscape.
Okay.
There's more variety in it. It kind of rises a little bit and falls. Not a lot, but it rises a bit and falls. And it lasts at different lengths as well. So, it's a roar like, that type of thing.
Does it sound like it's pain or like something?
Hard to tell it would be hard to say from this distance. And I should say the others don't really hear this. You happen to hear it because of the nature of what you're playing. And you're kind of listening for this specifically. At first, you're not even sure that it's there, but then it's definitely there, for sure.
Okay. When she is done playing and stuff, she is actually, while listening to that and hearing that, is it possible to, like, I think if she noticed that happening, she would sort of try to pursue it, like to see like what does it respond? Do you know like that episode of Star Trek Next Generation where there's a crystalline entity and they figure out to communicate with it, they make like pulses and stuff like that?
Yeah, this does not do that.
No.
It's pretty obvious that whatever this roar is, it is not part of the wind, and it's not responding to you. Like, so it does not hear you if you hear it.
Okay.
So I thought you were going to say that you were going to let your companions know, and you could do that if you wish. They are not aware of it themselves.
Yeah. She's going to do that as well.
Oh, and
Once-
Coven Guy has just, I'm sorry, Coven Guy has just inspired Tani and Inga using extra inspiration banked from the end of last month because of the
Ooh.
Quim points. So Tani and Inga start out with an inspiration. So good stuff. Sorry.
Wait, can we bank inspiration? I thought it
No,
went
the
away.
only this is the one exception. The only exception
Oh.
to this is it's a channel point thing. Basically, people who watch the channel a lot
Oh,
get
okay,
points
okay.
built up, and so that's the only exception. It's really taking another person's inspiration who can't usually be here at this time, and they
Gotcha.
they said to give it to the community. So yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, very nice of them.
I really
Anyway.
love your inspiration system. It's a lovely thing.
Oh.
Yeah,
oh
no,
yes, one of the best additions to D&D in my opinion.
So I think that she's going to there will come a point, I think, where it feels like a natural falling away or something. Even if the wind is still going, there will be like a natural cadence or something to draw things to a close on.
Okay.
And when she stops and she'll kind of still. When you end a harp performance, you put your hands on the strings to stop them vibrating and stuff. So she'll still it and listen for that sound. And presumably not hear it anymore, right?
Correct. Although you may remember, there's a phantom experience sometimes there's an experience of hearing a phantom sound that it sounds as if it's there and then it isn't. So for a while, as your ears strain, it's almost like your brain is inserting the note where it was. But then as you listen, you're like, no, it stopped. So it does not seem to be audible now that you stop playing.
So she's going to say that. So she just kind of looks at Tani and Inga and says, "Did you hear that?"
This was beautiful playing. Thank you very much.
No, there was like a roar. There was very far away, like a creature roaring.
No.
I could hear it inside the wind when I was playing.
I don't think I heard anything. Maybe just an animal.
No, it was like nothing I've ever heard before. Did you ever get a sense of direction from this?
Yes, north.
North. Is that where we're heading?
Yes.
Cool.
North, Miss Tessmucker.
So she's gonna say, it sounded like it was coming from the north. So whatever it is, perhaps we'll meet it soon enough.
Oh, things that roar, though.
Mountain lions? Wolves?
How far away
Orcs
did
when
you
they
say
are
it's
drunk?
I can't think of how. I know sometimes when the wind blows a certain way, sound carries differently.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know if it was a warning. I felt. It feels like the wind in this place is something that you can listen to and maybe talk to. I don't know.
Like Inge just looks at Tony at Robar with that expression. Like, did she get hit on the head or something? Like she doesn't say that, but that's like her face saying that. Well, I mean, if there was something and it came from that direction, then we'll probably speed it. So
Yeah. All right.
I mean, we are already prepared for the worst. So
Really don't think we are.
way to bring the mood down.
Speaking of that, by the way, you have another option. You have another opportunity, if you wish, Tani, to do one of these checks. Because I think this is because we're day 7 and you've done 2 so far. So this would be, or I'm sorry, we're on the end of. What did I say? The end of day 6? No, end of day 7.
You
Yeah.
said
So
7, yeah.
so you've only done 2. So you could do a third one if you wanted to do this every other. But again, there are exhaustion potentials and all that. So it's up to
Well,
you.
that's why I'm doing them every other.
Right.
That way.
So I think this is every other, if I'm not mistaken. So, are you doing one?
Yes.
Okay. So then I would like you, please, to make a lore check. Lore check.
Can I make a data check? Or a B4 check? No, not a B4 check. That's stupid.
IG 11.
Lore check. Natural one.
You
Really?
forget
Oh.
everything you ever knew.
You put your fist directly through the book, like, oh, sorry, no. Yes. You as you're sort of like reading through it, you just feel like I've read this thing a million times. There's stupid descriptions of hammer inventories, and you grow increasingly frustrated. You feel like there's more stuff here that you're not seeing, but it's just you feel like the things that they focus on are not what you would have focused on if you were writing this work. And so, unfortunately, the fact that you did not succeed does not necessarily mean that you don't lose your exhaustion, because you do. So you are currently sitting at, I have you at one level?
Remember, I'm alternating.
Yeah,
every
you're
day,
alternating. That's
so-
right. So it would just be, okay, so you're back to a level of exhaustion now, yes.
Correct.
Okay, and yeah, Echo, I don't know. I think maybe, because you paid up on Patreon, that's why. Okay, got it. So, Echo Alpha _X5. There you go. So now you're back up to 2. Thanks, Echo. Okay, so we just finished. Okay. All right. The rest of the evening passes relatively uneventfully, and you wake on the morning of day 8, ready to take your last steps. Again, you expect to get to, if you start now, you expect to get into the Withered Heath about midday or so. And so assuming that you are doing that, you head into the Withered, you continue along with the waste. You encounter nothing else until you reach the border here of what looks like the Withered Heath. Now, I have described in some detail the way that the terrain that you were crossing looked. It, of course, was dusty and dirty, a lot of scrub brush, very few trees of any kind, obviously very little water of any kind, just occasional spots that are there, and this sort of general feeling of stuff that's weighing down on the ground. This, on the other hand, is in some ways worse. First of all, you are just starting to cross over the foothills of the Gray Mountains, and so you're beginning to kind of travel up and around these broken paths and dangerous terrain. The good news is that because it's hilly, it means that the wind does not strike you quite as strongly. I mean, you still are affected by the wind, but it's not quite as you're not getting all the dust kind of hitting you in the face and so forth. The trade-off for that, though, is that it's getting colder, considerably colder, as you continue to go up into the foothills and begin to climb. And as you're traveling towards where supposedly the watchtower Zarankinbar can be found, you sometimes see the Withered Heath itself through gaps in the mountains. All of you know that the heath was once a green valley, but it was despoiled by the great worms long ago, and so now it is a dead land. Its surface is scorched black. The terrain itself has been rent for centuries by the claws of fighting dragons. There are always these smoky clouds that you can see above the mountains, which you know is from the leftover sense. There's always this impression as you look up that there's something moving in the clouds above you. You know, you never quite catch sight of it, but you always looks like something is roiling the clouds above you in some way. And there is a smell of sulfur and ash upon the wind as you get higher. So you have a tendency to kind of cough and choke a little bit as you climb from this sulfurous, ashy smell. This region ranks as what is known as a dark land. This is the darkest possible place through which you can journey. So you'll be extremely pleased to know, he said jokingly, that you will, while you are in this land, be making 2 wisdom saving throws per day. Foreshadow as you are crossing over it. It is...
This is so
rough.
bad! It's
Yeah.
so bad! Oh god!
Oh, it's so much worse than you think. Just watch what happens.
Again, much like Coachella.
See, I think that's what Tari and I were laughing at.
Oh God, yes.
Have you?
So I will
wait,
need everyone to
Trent,
make
have you
a wisdom
ever played Adventures in Middle Earth before and experienced this sort of thing? You seem like you have more experience, as it were, with these places.
I wouldn't say that. I would say precedent based on what has come before. The pendulum swing is coming back, and
Okay. Cool. So cool. So wait, we're making a wisdom saving throw now? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
I think if
as
this
you-
was a video game, what follows now is our way to the very final last dungeon, as it is called on, I think, TV
Okay.
tropes.
Yeah,
Where's our
now the
save
real
points?
Dark Souls begins.
Absolutely, definitely very final dungeon, I think.
Can we have our save point though? Can we like just reset to the save point after we are all miserable and demised? Can we do that?
Save point. You don't see any flashing diamonds where you are, or any
Problem
campfires.
is,
You know.
What about a little Moogle? Those are my favorite save
no, see,
points.
the problem is the last time I saved was like when we were heading Dindy's there. Just, no.
Wow, that's a long time back.
I know, I forgot. I keep forgetting this, Anyway.
Oh man.
Well, that actually seems great right now. Why don't we just do that? Why don't we just
No,
go all the way?
I would rather be wrapped in that chain.
My friends.
21.
Okay. Ah, good. We're back to feeling.
No, we're not.
Yeah, you're fine. You're hale and hearty.
No, we're not.
And see,
Hey!
the river also is.
Oh, wait, I
feels
need to roll,
hale
sorry.
and hearty. Robar, not so hale and hearty.
Okay.
No!
That was the wrong die. Let me roll again.
What? Wow, a critical fail. You collect 5. No.
Ah!
No.
Don't say that!
I'm
Oh
just
god!
I'm just
That's
joking.
so scary!
I'm just joking.
It's
no,
actually 6.
You actually I'm joking. You actually get 10. No, you get 1. You get 1. So most of you, for Tawny and for the River, River, I think you may. This is going to sound odd, but it's sort of like what you were talking about earlier today. You may be so focused on the experience of playing the harp and thinking about that it almost takes your mind away from the sort of incredible darkness of the moment as you pass into the land. Whereas Tawny, you, again, the sort of general resilience that you've experienced feels the same. And also, I would say, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact that you actually can see that you're closer to your goal and you see where the goal is and you're like, all right, this is where we're going to. That's one thing. But for Robar, who continues to wonder whether or not he will measure up to the task when the moment comes, where the sort of constant wear of his age and the experience of being in lands of this type has just continued to press down upon him. And certainly, Inga, you, in the process of going through this, you've had a dream or two where you've remembered or thought that you've heard the voice of your mother calling out to you, and all of this feels sort of like, I don't want to say an anchor around your neck, but it just continues to push down upon you. How can you get to this place when you've finally gotten through this awful area, and now you're going to an even more awful area as you go through here? The sulfur and ash reminds you uncomfortably of the smell of some of the
Of Coachella.
It reminds you uncomfortably of Coachella, and then it reminds you uncomfortably of the experience of being in the mines, sort of inhaling the fumes of the forges. But that memory brings you no joy at this time as you go through. And so, as you are passing through this, we come to the evening of day 1 of entering the Withered Heath. So you're now out of the waste and into the Withered Heath in the sort of foothills of the Grey Mountains. I do want to ask the party, are you changing up any of the way that you position your... I swear to God, I am not saying this because you're about to get attacked 3 seconds later. That's not what I'm doing at all. Seriously not. I just want to know, as you've entered sort of a different area, are you going to change anything about the way that you're setting your campfires or not? I mean, you have the path still remains in front of you, but you're beginning to climb, and therefore anything you do is going to be theoretically visible, but then also it's getting colder, so it's not going to be easy to just be like, oh, don't have fires, because that's going to have an effect on you also. So I'm just curious if any of you want to do anything different, or do you want to stick with what you have? And that is not attempting to make you do something different. I'm just letting you know that this is where you are.
So you said there was like smoke everywhere anyway?
Yes, although it's sort of above you. It's not surrounding you. It's sort of above you. It's more that the smell of ash and sulfur is on the wind,
but
and
like
above
it
you are
wouldn't
these
be
clouds.
completely out of place to like see smoke coming from.
Oh, not at all. No, you wouldn't
Okay,
stand
so
out.
we don't need to worry about that. Then I
Nope,
would just
you would
say
not
we
stand
just
out.
make sure that like we find protected nooks and crannies in the mountainside, like protected from the wind and stuff like that,
Right.
and from direct view.
I think
And
there's
if we
probably
can, a cave.
I think there's probably going to be like a lot of cuddling with the animals as well. Like, huddling into
Yeah.
Lillimon and Stone
And Stone is
Tawny.
particularly bothered by it. Actually, River keeps kind of, like he's trying to clear his
She's
nose
definitely
out.
gonna have like bound something over his nose as well to try and make that easier for him and stuff.
Okay, because he's trying to
sure.
you can snuffle and kind of clear his nose, and you can tell
Yeah.
that it's bothering him. Lillimon doesn't seem to be as affected by that, but even Lillimon, you notice, Inga, his hooves kind of have slipped a couple times on the rocks, even though it doesn't look like it's not that rough yet, although it's going to get there. But you just get the sense that it's, he's kind of struggling himself a little bit. Now, neither one of them, it's not like they're not ready to keel over, but you can definitely see the effect that it's having on the animals.
Did you know that this is not Lillimon's final form, and actually Lillimon in certain terrain transforms
Lilligod.
into
Yeah.
I was gonna say Lilligoat, and
Lilligoat.
Lilligoat, and becomes a mountain goat, extremely sure-footed, very accustomed to this terrain, and with butting capacity as well. So, just FYI.
Okay.
Oh, fun time! He becomes a little killing, because in Scandinavian languages, a killing is a baby goat.
Oh!
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, it might have been actually a baby sheep, but like people in the comics are gonna correct me. But
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the thing. We have a pack goat now,
Yeah.
who can also deal damage with his amazing horns.
This is great.
Yeah.
I appreciate aspirational roleplay. That this is what we'd like to believe is true, and I thought you were going to say that he becomes the goat, as in the greatest of all time goat.
Oh, that's absolutely
Like,
also true. I
he's
mean,
the
that's
great-
been true.
That's
all
already
along.
true, right? So
Exactly.
yes, exactly. Like I just
It's
don't.
just like his inner goatness is now manifest in his
goatness.
outer goatness.
No, unfortunately, you imagine all this, and then you turn back, and Lillimon remains the same pony he's always
Wait a
been.
minute.
But yes,
So if they're imagining all this, you're saying it's a dream.
I mean, I wasn't going to say it. I feel like that's your tagline, but
Mm.
yeah, I mean,
All right.
Hello, Kitra. So that evening, and again, you're going to rest, I assume, Tani, because again, we're doing this every other thing, so you're not going to worry about that. But that evening, as you are sleeping, you, at one point, this is probably, I would say, late in the evening, early morning, River, you are woken by Stone kind of whimpering a little bit. And as you look over, you can see that he's sniffing something, like in the air, like kind of scenting something in the air, and then kind of looking down at you and whimpering a little bit. He's not exactly trying to wake you up. It just seems like he's a bit distressed. He doesn't look like he's hurt or going to fall over or anything, but he looks distressed by some scent.
Can River smell something? She's not a dog, but
she can
is
try.
there something?
Go ahead and make a perception check. We'll see.
She goes over to Stone and like crouches down next to him and puts her arms around him for comfort, and then also kind of sniffs at the air to see what's going on. Oh well, if only that was the other way around.
That was the
She remains not a dog, and so just looks around and then ultimately just decides that that cuddling him is more important. So.
And
But she does, she does that and then goes over to the others and says to them that Stone's bothered by something. Something seemed to be like smelling something on the air. I know the air is foul, but there's something else bothering him. I have gone through this tea so quickly. I'm now jealous of Tari's impending coffee.
The bad eggs in it. No, that's just the way it smells around here.
Do the others get to make a perception check?
They have not yet asked if they wanted to do something along those lines. do you want to try to smell? Are you trying to sniff something out then?
That's why I'm sitting there going.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Then go ahead, make a perception check for me.
To make sure I set to the proper character. Tiny Bear the Arthminder. This is perception. Perception. 17.
You think that you might pick up a kind of a strange. There's the sulfur in the ash, but there is some other odd scent, and you can't quite place it. It's not particularly pleasant. It's not awful, but it's not particularly pleasant. And it does seem to be mixed in some way with the ash and the sulfur. But as you yourself are not a dog, you don't follow it you don't know what it is, except to say that it does seem to be something you have not scented before since entering this land.
I mean, I smell it, but I can't tell what it is.
And it doesn't smell like rot, right?
Oh well, sorry. You're asking him because you don't.
No, I'm asking you on Tanya's behalf.
Well, no.
I guess that's. I'm asking. I mean, River will ask, but I presume the information has to come.
Yeah, that's fine. If you're asking Tani, that's fine. Like Tani could
yeah.
explain what he smells.
Yes.
Right. Well, the other question that I was going to ask is for as long as Smaug was in the Erebor, his stench was still in there, I imagine, when we were there.
Faintly,
at least
but
part.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So is it remotely similar to that?
No. I mean, it's a little hard to tell because part of Smaug's stench is the sulfur. So the sulfur would remind you a little bit of that, but no, this doesn't seem to be like that particularly. It does sort of. It's not exactly a rot, but there is a kind of tang to it, like something that's. I mean, it's faint, but for you to be able to pick it up means that it's unlikely. I mean, unless there's like a mountain of corpses or something, it's not likely that dead things would be producing this stench, if you had to guess.
So it's just so River essentially, like, her thought process is, I heard something that sounded like nothing I'd heard before. I haven't seen stone react to something like this in a while. It suggests to me that there might be some creature like that is the thing
that's reasonable.
Would presume that, like,
yep.
So that's the kind of thing that she's like in asking, like, is it rot? Essentially what she's kind of asking is, like, does this seem like something that is, matter, or is it more like musk, like an animal?
That's where I was about to go next. Is that tang sort of the acrid scent of either urine or sweat?
More likely
something acidic.
More likely. Some kind of sweat might be a better way to put it. Yeah.
Well, we knew that there were going to be strange creatures here. Just best to be on our guard, I suppose.
I would hope we already were, but
There's a different. I don't know. What do any of us know? It's one thing, I think, to come in here expecting orcs and trolls and shadow, I suppose, but those are things that we know. They're things that we've faced. It's difficult to be on our guard for things that we can't even imagine the shape of. What does your mug say, Tari?
It says Aperture Laboratories.
Yay!
A trusted friend in science.
Oh, Yeah.
Now you're drinking with portals.
There we go.
Coffee is
Oh, that
alive.
would be so nice. Can you imagine a
Coffee
coffee
is
mug
alive.
that just like goes into the coffee pot, and so it like keeps refilling itself and it never gets cold because you can just leave it on the stove. Can
Nice.
you imagine?
Coffee is alive.
Aperture science. Coffee's a lie. Tea is the truth. Hey,
Tea
I'll
is the
drink to
truth.
that.
Hey, yo.
I mean, technically, this isn't actually coffee. This is like instant chocolate cappuccino
Oh,
because
I
I
can't
don't
believe
like
you
coffee.
were. I can't believe you were throwing shade on me microwaving my tea, but you're drinking like something that is about 4 degrees removed from coffee while still having coffee.
I drink this because it has caffeine in it. It doesn't taste like crap, unlike coffee, which tastes like absolute crap.
I love the taste of coffee so much. It's upsetting to me that I can't drink more of it. But anyway, good.
There's no excuse for microwaving tea. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
microwaving tea is heresy.
Oh my
Microwaving tea."
god, y'all. I'm not actually brewing the tea in the microwave. I have brewed the tea from a kettle, controlled its temperature, but then it got cold, so then I want to microwave it in order to make
Amal.
it warm again.
Don't listen to them. Like, one of them is my boyfriend who says that. And he doesn't even like tea or any hot beverages. So,
It is-
like, don't listen to
It is definitely a standard troll, and then therefore we'll turn to stone and sunlight.
Yes.
But yeah.
Speaking of
There's
stone,
little here.
Ah, speaking of stone, sorry. Oh no, oh
It's okay.
god. Okay, here we go. Yes. Yes.
so Stone kind of like waits as you are, as sort of chatting and talking about the possibilities, and kind of sniffs again, and then lies back down. The wind may have changed a little bit in direction, and so you also, the scent for you, Tani, kind of fades as well. So you're just dealing with the sulfur again. But it was there when this was happening, though. The wind was blowing into your face from the north. So whatever you were experiencing is coming from ahead of you, whatever that smell was. In the same direction, I should say, as the roar that you thought you heard yesterday when you were playing, River, when you were playing the harp.
Oh shit. Okay.
There's a can of shit here?
There is a
This
chamber
whole thing
of
is a can of
winds,
shit.
so I have to assume that no.
Wow.
So River's eyes suddenly widen, and she. So has Tawny been sharing what he's been learning from the book? So she's gonna say, Tawny, is there anything in the book about a creature in the tower that lives in the tower or that is kept in the tower?
The closest thing to it is the Raven's Perch, which implies that there were at some point ravens there. Whether they're there or not now, I don't know. But they were.
Is it mechanically possible to actually consult the book now? Like,
if you're consulting areas that you've already found, that's fine. If you're consulting it to try to find new information, though, you're going to have to do what Tawny's been doing, which is to, spend the night trying to pour through it and kind of process things. This is not an easy book to read.
right.
This is the Dune of
Okay.
Dwarven books.
Is it?
Spice must flow.
The spice must flow. Green room convos, people. Green room.
Oh,
convos.
that was a good full circle. And what time of day is it now? I forgot.
It is the evening time. I should say it's late evening, so it's maybe 3 or 4 in the morning that you're having this conversation because it's.
And Tawny's already failed his check tonight.
Tawny didn't take it tonight because he was
Oh.
resting tonight, up until now. So he gets another level. No, I'm just kidding. But
Right.
no, he's been resting, so he did not try it this evening.
Is it possible for Inga and I to try it instead?
Yes. Although, let's see.
Wait, reading the book?
Yeah.
Like, how would River read that, though? Like, you don't speak that language, do you?
No.
Right.
But
Inga
I
could, and she would be in the same. What you could do now. Here's what I would say. So Inga could do it because she's a dwarf and she could read Dwarven. Tawny can do it because he was helped by.
Shit!
by
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. This is a thing that I was doing before that I should have been doing this time and I just completely forgot. Because River has been playing and stuff. She's there and like using her warden's dice
Uh-huh.
and stuff that are replenishing every short rest. She should also have been giving some kind of boost to Tawny when he is.
Oh, okay. Well, the
Right.
one that he
failed critically, so it doesn't
terribly,
matter.
so it
But
didn't
like,
matter. But let's keep that in
yeah.
mind, for next time,
yeah,
for sure.
I just wanted to bring that up. Yeah.
But so Munin gave Tawny the information that he needed, and the work that Tawny did before he left with Munin, plus his own scholar background, means that he's able to essentially, read through it also.
Right.
Inga can do it, but the thing I want to point out is that if Inga's going to do it, then two things. A, she'll be able to do it and maybe would get an assist, maybe would be able to benefit a little bit from the assistance of the river. But to do that, both of you are going to get a level of exhaustion from doing it. Because this is not just a pleasant, evening read.
No,
like, this is intense.
I hear you.
So.
Okay, well, so how far are we from the tower at this point?
Depends on how well you make, like how difficult the mountain areas you're going into are. Probably 3 days or so, you would guess, but that partially depends again on what you encounter in the meantime.
Okay. In that case, like, what River is going to say then is just, like, it's just going to suddenly, like, dawn on her that these things, it might not just be a random creature, it might actually be something that is, like, to do with the tower that they are going to.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just going to go very still and suddenly, like, just, and look to Tawny and say, Tawny, when you look at that book next, I know it's difficult, but if it's possible to look for some mention of a roaring creature kept in the tower, I don't know. I just think that I feel like we're being told about this, that the wind was telling me something about this, and Stone is trying to tell us something about this, and if the book can give us any information, then that would probably be wise.
All right.
Does that mean the two of you are not going to try to read this thing?
Can I assist him?
I mean,
whoever assists is going to get the level of exhaustion also. So yes,
So
you
you-
can.
I
but-
think it's worth it.
I will say though, like, when River was like, the way that the Warden's gift die works, and that she can, like, let me see. I think usually it's like gifting 1d8 to the person of one's choice.
Uh-huh.
So the way that we had it working before, I wasn't taking a level of exhaustion for playing and doing that, and then Tanya still applied that.
Right, yeah. No. That's different.
Okay.
What Inga's talking about is Inga doesn't have the
Actually
ability to
reading
do that.
with him.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you can do that with what you're describing. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Non-stop
would
assist.
still like to assist, though, because I think it's
Okay.
absolutely worth it. Like to take the exhaustion for that.
Okay.
Well, so now be aware that if you're going to do that, so first of all, so yes, you can do this, but if you're going to do that, then you're going to have to take, because technically you needed to start this earlier. I mean, you can do it. It just means you're going to have to do it into the daytime, because it's late when you're thinking about doing this, like 3 or 4 in the morning-ish late. And Tani was not going to do it at all this evening because he wanted to get his level of exhaustion back. So this isn't just assisting if you're going to do that. You would be assisting him tomorrow night, is when
Okay.
he would be doing this.
I think that would be all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when the morning comes, the couple things that I want to point out here are I'm going to be doing the Wisdom Shave basically in the morning and the evening of these journeys. And as I said, if all goes well, about 3 days to Zerankenbar, if all goes well. So I'm going to have everybody, as you wake from your slumber, do this Wisdom save first to see about the Shadow Point as you wake up in this terrible sulfurous environment.
14?
Okay. And Tani with this 12. And River with the critical fail with 4. And
Wobar
When Stone is upset, River is upset.
with a 16.
see you, Echo. Thanks, man. Okay, so Robar is okay. The rest of you continue to feel this weight that just descends on you. more and more over time as the Tani, part of this for you may also be as you're reading the book is sort of blending in your mind a little bit with this experience also. You're like, and then at night I have to be part of this experience, so there's no respite, it almost seems, for you. I want to say something about, I'm going to save River for last. Inga, you feel, again, this sort of weight of the scent that is kind of reminding you, as I've talked about before, about the experience of your mother, your worry about how long this is all taking. It's already been 7 days now. This is the 8th day. What happens if, how is she doing? This worry and anxiety continues to build. And for you, River, we cross now into double digits here with shadow points. And for the first time, your experience seems to be mirroring that of the animals around you, in that Lillimon and Stone are dragging, and you feel like you are also dragging too. The joy that you get, for example, out of playing the harp, you've been doing some of this to assist others, but the joy is not as much there as of late. It just feels like a task to fulfill rather than a joy to experience. And the music is not lifting you above or lifting itself above the environment around you. And as you sort of make your way forward that day, all of you, are even the ones who made it, Robar, are kind of aware of this experience of kind of dragging yourself through this landscape as you continue to go up and up. You have to put on several more cloaks because it's gotten colder and colder now, where it's legitimately, getting icy cold and you need to protect yourself against that element. And right about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I would say, you come to the top of this hill. And right below it is the path. You can also almost see this sort of shadowy, deep gorge that leads almost directly between mountains. And when you first see it, your heart lifts, all of your hearts lift a little bit, because it almost looks like a way to shortcut the constant broken path and all of the clambering you've had to do. This looks like you go down into this gorge and you go straight, and it's going to get you almost as if it was a pathway cut right through the mountains to go much faster to Rakenbar. But then you look at what is there on either side of the gorge, and you see a set of caves. Caves that are on the edges of each gorge, both the western side and the eastern side. And the gorge basically goes between them. There are these high rock walls that are punctuated by openings. And as the wind blows in your direction, this time you don't need to make a check for all of you to be able to smell this sweat and tang of what very clearly must be some creature, or more accurately, many creatures. You don't see any creatures, but that scent is coming out of this gorge in front of you.
Pleasant.
And you're standing on the edge of it, looking down at it. There's, to the left is a very tall mountain that would take you weeks to climb if you even could. To the right is possibly more passable, but it's also pretty dangerous and also taking you away from the destination. The gorge seems like, in fact, you might even think you make out, Inga, what might have been at some point a dwarven path. This might have been something that they originally made to get there, but over the centuries, it's now broken down and whatever. It's still much straighter and easier than the paths around you, but the path is literally going to go right past these openings on either side of the mountains, on either side of the gorge.
You said it's really cold here, right?
Yes.
How much snow is there on the mountainsides?
Up on the mountainside above you, there's a fair bit of snow. Down here in the path in the gorge, though, there isn't much, and you're not sure why that is. It may be that the snow kind of lands on the peaks above and kind of doesn't really... There's a little bit of blowing drifts here and there, but not very much down here. And in the gorge, there seems to be very little.
Have a theory.
Yeah, what if we cause... what is it called? An avalanche.
An avalanche?
Avalanche?
An avalanche.
Without being caught in it?
Well, I mean, if we go to, how high are these mountains anyway? If we were gonna climb one of the mountains,
They're pretty high.
We'd have to climb with Lillimon as
Right.
well, with the animals.
Yeah, he's a goat.
That's true. He's a
That's
goat.
true. In the
Also,
alternate
physics
world, he's a goat.
Need not apply.
In our world, he's not a goat.
So let me see if I have this clear. We are on a mountain pass right now.
I wouldn't say mountain. That's a little too strong.
Oh,
It
okay.
right on the edges of the. You're about to enter the mountains. Basically, you're on the top. You're on the topmost foothill of the Gray Mountains. Put it this way: looking down into this gorge, which
Okay.
goes between two very tall mountains to your east and
Now,
west.
and the gorge is literally like, that is the path that we are.
It seems like a straight
supposed
shot,
to
and
be?
maybe it almost is like this is what the dwarves had maybe made centuries
Right.
ago to get to Zarakanbar. Yeah.
What? Well, oh god.
Good news is it sounds like you're on the right path. I mean, it sounds like you're on the right track.
Like, I'm just like thinking, what if we like find a spot like what is it, like an overhang or something to hide underneath and then cause the avalanche? And we would be protected because we'll just like go past us, literally. I'm thinking. Is that a thing?
So my question, I guess, is, what do we gain by causing the avalanche? Because the idea is that, like, if we cause an avalanche, then that will block our path as well, won't it? I'm trying to.
Well, I mean, we are not gonna go through the gorge at all, but like, I'm assuming that if there are already orcs here, then there are gonna be more orcs in the Rakenbar. And
This
Can
does
you
not
imagine-
smell like orcs, by the way.
Huh?
Yeah.
Does
it
not
doesn't-
smell like orcs.
It smells like nothing we have smelled before,
Right.
is the thing.
oh, because you said like sweat and tang.
That's right.
Well,
But
just-
sweat and tang of not orcish sweat and tang.
It
Okay.
really, like, I mean, to
Never
me,
mind.
out of character, I am looking at this and going like, oh, and there's no snow there. Could that be because of the heat of many bodies that produce more heat than is perhaps normal for bodies?
Am I sensing an Admiral Akbar? It's a trap! is that what we're getting?
Like, yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess then we just stay the hell away
But-
from this gorge.
So this is what I want to visualize, though. So, like, from where we are,
Mhm.
what are our options? There's the gorge option, which is straight ahead, right? Or
Yes,
straight
and
beneath
I will
us.
actually paint, and I will actually sort
Okay.
of freehand it a little bit. So there's the
Okay.
gorge. This is not exactly this straight, but like that.
Uh-huh.
This area over here. This area over here is essentially impassable. I mean, the mountain's way too tall in the west. Crossing it and climbing it, even if it's possible, is going to take weeks.
Right.
Weeks that you don't believe you have. So that's going to be difficult. You could try to go up on the eastern side and basically kind of go essentially around and over where the gorge is. But this is very dangerous because since it is not quite impassable, but then even you're not even sure if there is a pass up there, but if there is, it's extremely narrow. If someone slips, if Lillimon slips, they will not survive a plummet into that gorge. So your guess is that this is exactly why the dwarves, if they did do this, made this way. Like they made the path through this to avoid this problem. And you can see in the distance, like through the gorge basically goes for, it's hard to say how many miles, but it would probably be a few hours travel. And then on the other side of it, it kind of rises up out of the gorge over this small hill and then heads towards another mountain that's in the distance. That is the alleged direction you were supposed to be going to try to get to Zarakanbar. So if you had to guess, you could kind of go down to the gorge, come out of it, and then would continue along your way. You don't know what it looks like beyond that hill that's in front of you on the other side of the gorge. Going up
can't
the other
see a
direction is
tower from
possible.
here, right?
Right, exactly. No, you do not.
Yeah. I am going to guess that if there are alternate means of navigating the distance ahead of us, that the secrets are probably in the book. Because, River is going to be... So, River looks at the situation and a large part of her only wants to just go forward rather than spending any more time deviating away from their purpose here.
Mm-hmm.
Even though at certain times she can barely remember what that purpose is because everything is weighing so heavily. But the rest of her, the slightly more sensible part, turns to Inge and says, Inge, am I right in thinking that your people often build secret ways into things, into mountains, into that the broad straight path is not always the only one?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a secret anymore if I told you, wouldn't it? But in all seriousness, yes, absolutely, and all over the place, and then some.
So it's a possibility that tonight, maybe when we consult this book, that there might be some way around or beneath this.
I would bet my beard on it.
Okay.
Would be very odd if there wouldn't have been any tunnels. I mean, could be possible, like, given what we have seen, that, like, if there were any tunnels, that they might be destroyed. But at some point, there must have been tunnels.
Right.
And actually seeing this now before us, I think we shouldn't just wait till tonight. We should probably sit down now and consult the book. And only move forward until we get, like, some more concrete information on how we can get to this tower.
Tony, how did you feel about that?
We're going into a situation with virtually no idea of what to expect. I think the more knowledge we can attain before we get there, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, and, like, seeing our possible past before us, it looks either insanely dangerous or just would take forever to take either of these paths for us. So if those are the options, I think the book is our best bet right now.
All right. Can we do that?
Sure. So you are sort of you're settling down now, essentially, to try to read the book. Let me ask, does this mean that you would prefer to travel by night? Rest during the day, travel by night.
No, it's more like we are gonna make camp now and, like, find a secluded, safe looking place, make camp there, and then study the book, like, kind of thinking what Bilbo and the gang did when they got to the secret door in the Erebor.
Just sitting around and thinking, yes.
Yeah, basically. Like, maybe not taking that long, but, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, weeks pass. Okay, yes, you can do that. You're sort of right at the edge of this gorge, sort of looking down on it. If you sort of go below the lip of the hill that you stood up on to look down into the gorge, you could definitely find a place that would essentially, you could set the camp up where the northern side of it is up against the lip of this area that looks down upon the gorge, because it's fairly steep. I mean, it's definitely passable, but it's somewhat steep, this path that kind of descends into the gorge. And then you can set up there. In that event, if you're going to do that, then I would, I'll have everyone do the sort of checks for the book, and then we will do the saving point saving point for the wisdom saving throw, and then I guess at that point you would just basically stay over into the, through this evening, and then would leave the next morning, assuming, is that more or less what I'm gathering?
Well, I guess, like, the idea is we all just, like, roll until we have a good roll. You keep track of how long we roll, and that's how much time has passed.
Oh, so you want to keep going until you find anything potentially relating to this, to secrets about this?
Like, because we wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, that's
even if
what
that takes
I thought.
days?
I don't know about the rest of the guys.
Even if that takes days?
Yeah, I think that would still be smarter, right?
I think it is probably smarter than trying to go down into this gorge full of clearly dangerous creatures that we don't know anything about.
Okay.
But that said, like, yeah, I mean, I definitely want to do this right now. I don't know how long I want it to go on. I mean, like, can we go by what information we are getting and what
If
we
you
want
want.
to do with that?
If
Essentially,
you want,
okay.
sure.
Because I do think that there is like value in staying there. It's just that it is such a, like, I think if we keep on having to make saving throws against shadow and stuff, then that, I mean, again, channeling River here, River would actually probably prefer to charge into battle versus something than sit and endure more and more and more misery.
Right.
So that there's that.
Well, I mean, and I would also say that you have a little bit of a countervailing pressures here in that the longer you stay in this land, the more that you are taking the corruption of the land upon you. So there is a limit that way. Like you're continuing to make saving throws and continuing to gain shadow points. So
Exactly.
that also is a limit where at a certain point you may say, just one note I want to make that Tani would know is that the book itself seems to focus on the construction of and the design of the tower itself. So I'm just letting you know that's not to say you won't find any information about how to get to different parts of it, but just be aware that much of what Tani has read so far deals more with the actual watchtower less than the path to arrive there, for what that's worth. But this may still obviously apply to secrets within the tower, which might be things that you're sensing now, so I'm just letting you know the deal.
Well, maybe we can like set a time frame, like maybe like after 2 days, if we haven't found anything, we move on or something.
That could be. You got a little loud just then, Terry. Like your mic is like.
Oh, test. 1, 2, 3.
A little.
It's almost as though your mic is not, the cable is not suited properly, and we're getting some of the 60 hertz hum from it.
Oh no, that's just my neighbor's drilling. I think if
No,
could
'cause
be
you're-
the-
it's
your
not.
mic.
It's not.
This is definitely the microphone. It's
Yeah.
definitely the hardware. If you just unplug it and reseat it, that might take care of it.
Well, it's a USB edge.
Now we can't hear you.
Give it a second to reinitialize.
Yes.
Gonna say,
Because I am muted.
There you go.
that's much better. Yes.
Hello.
Much better.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Much better.
Okay.
If only all our problems were this easy to solve. Have we
Yeah.
tried unplugging the book and
Unplug it,
replugging
plug it
Just-
back in again. Suddenly, the path is just like one rainbow road that just goes directly.
Oh, that would be so nice!
you know,
Can we just do that?
with sunshine and rainbows, gumdrops raining from the heavens. Like,
You see, the thing that
Shine,
if
lollipops and rainbows.
if Tawny rolled a natural 20, I was determined that he was going to start singing "Why Are There So Many Songs About Rainbows."
someday we'll find it.
Don't get your
Oh.
video muted. Stop that.
Oh no. Okay.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Okay, so for now, why don't we just concentrate on the rules ahead of us and see what is to be done.
Okay, so let me have you settle down then and do your wisdom saving throw, and then we'll have you do the book. Oh God, that Rainbow Road from Super Mario Kart would not be the same thing. That road was a pain.
That
to
would be
climb.
actually
That is
worse.
dangerous.
Oh my
Quite,
God.
yes.
14.
Okay.
That's another point of shit here.
Oh. Rolling for shadow.
I even remember the music.
Don't get your video muted.
They're not. Listen, man. I'm not that good. They're not going to mute it based on 5 seconds.
Yeah. All right. You just remember you said that.
God damn it!
So,
Wow.
just to reiterate, like,
Wow.
we are screwed as soon as our shadow points exceed our wisdom points. I have 9 shadow points now,
Right.
and I have 11 wisdom.
Yep.
I have
So-
11 shadow points and 16 wisdom.
Yep.
So yeah, not very excited about this.
Rabar has 7. What is his wisdom, Tani? And you're at 3 shadow
16.
now. Is it 16? Okay.
Like,
You're
basically, we are all
fine.
just Stan from Baldur's Gate right now. Oh,
Yeah,
life is
basically.
so hollow.
Basically, exactly right. Okay.
Why don't we just lay down and die?
So go and make. Oh God, I just remembered that voice too. Okay. Now I will need. So Tani is going to be. So it's going to be Tani that's making the lore check, but assisted by Inga with the warden's gift. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's do that.
That means advantage and plus what?
1d8.
It's not advantage, though.
she's assisting, it would be advantage, wouldn't it?
Ooh.
Well, it's not going to matter. So, although that's a perception check, though. We needed a lore check.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Ooh.
Damn it,
So I was going to give a plus, not an advantage.
Okay.
Because she's not, although she's a dwarf, she's not a scholar. No offense, many qualities, but
Still taken.
that
15 plus.
that would be plus 3 for the assist, so 18.
So that would be 18 plus
Yes.
a d8. Plus a d8. 8.
Wow. Okay, so you learn all things. All right.
You heard him. You heard him. Clip it.
I need
Clip
you to
it. You
roll.
heard him.
I need you to roll. I need you to roll a 6-sided die, please.
Tony starts to glow from the knowledge of the universe all pouring into him.
Oh, he's actually the big brain meme come to life.
Yeah, his face
Yes.
just light just
Galaxy
pours
brain.
out of his face. Blah,
Yes.
you know. Okay, roll. Let's see. Roll that one more time, please. You already got 5.
5.
Listen, roll it again and don't get a 5. All right.
Do you have any other instructions you would like?
Should we be aiming for any particular number?
There we go. No. So as you read through this, you don't find anything necessarily about pathways or getting to it, but you do find one other thing, which is that there was a secret vault, a treasure vault. Remember you were talking, Inga, about all the secrets that dwarves have? There was a secret treasure vault that was built when the tower was carved out of the mountain. And this is also the first time you've heard that the tower was not built on top of, but almost into the side of the mountain. And this treasure vault is in the last bedchamber on the left, and the entrance is hidden in the floor. Now, it doesn't specify what's in this treasure vault, but it makes references to great jewels and shining things of gold and things of this nature. And so
I could swear we knew that already.
no, I don't think so. You had I don't believe you were ever really, because you had the
Remember
Ravens.
something being mentioned about the vault being in the floor.
You might be thinking about the Raven's Perch because it was the small chamber with the top of the. I don't remember about the thing being in the floor. I don't think
I'm
so.
gonna take a bio break real quick.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you had this Chamber of Winds. You found out about this Raven's Perch, and you also found out just now about this treasure vault. I don't think there was anything about it being in the floor. I don't believe.
Just sounds really familiar.
Maybe.
Anyway, whatever.
Because the stupid caffeine could start working. I drank half a liter of cola and a cup of coffee. I should be awake at this point.
So, but that's the only thing that you determine about those things. And I will need you to take on a level of exhaustion for me, please, Inga.
Yes, sir.
And Tani as well.
Already done.
Just been brain farting my way along all week. It's horrible.
It's the Grail, and before everyone's face melts. Exactly. Okay.
Wait, what?
Who's Rude Nelson in chat? It's the Grail, in before everyone's face melts.
That's wrong movie! Dude, that's Indiana Jones 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Like, the Grail is from the third movie.
Especially
the,
3.
The face melting is from the first movie.
Oh, I see. Well, he's mixing the two
That's
of them.
about
No,
the
that'd be in before everybody ages
Coven
like
guy.
700 years in like 3 seconds.
It's about the Coven guy.
What? What?
Yeah.
To
Get
wake
it?
up your car, caffeine candy.
Did
that's
I
right.
say that right?
The Coven guy. Well, I remember it. Yeah, the dude who, the guy whose face melts in the first one, which is
Yes.
still
Among other
horrific.
things. Like, one guy just rapidly aged, one melts, and the third one...
Yeah, the Knight Templar. That's right, flying in. The Knight Templar, who, when you go to Coachella, you've chosen poorly. Yeah, just thought it was good. There it is. Okay.
Wait,
What have I missed? What did I miss?
From the third, the chosen poorly.
What did I miss?
Knight Templar spells face melt?
No,
he dies.
no.
He like vanishes because he's
Callback
like...
humor. Yes, exactly. He does. But the guy who, takes the wrong Grail ages like 700
Nazi
years
guy.
in 3 seconds. And
I really hope that's not the stuff that we're learning from the book, because
No.
I could have told y'all that, but
the only thing that you learned from the book was just this time was that there is this secret treasure vault that is built in this last bedchamber on the left in the watchtower, and the entrance is hidden in the floor. It doesn't say what the vault holds, but some great treasure of some kind.
If the vault
Real
is
treasure was the enemies we made along the way.
If the entrance to the vault is in the floor, then it definitely suggests at least that there are tunnels through which we could come up into the tower, rather than approach it from the outside.
Arf?
Yeah.
So since Inge is like a learned stonemason and has probably built like a few, or at least repaired some hidden dwarven gateways in the Erebor after the dwarves took it back, would she be able to identify like the secret markers for like hidden pathways if she found any?
Possibly, but there's some potentially bad news about that. The watchtower itself was designed to basically, there was no tunnel leading, as far as you're aware, from most watchtowers all the way back, because they didn't want to deal with the threat of goblins and orcs kind of digging their way from the underside, so they literally made it so that they didn't have other pathways that they were going to have to worry about. So as opposed to a place where you had little like warrens, like rabbits, that you could kind of come out of as you would do in much of the construction in places like Erebor, here the idea was to prevent, because you remember in the Grey Mountains you're right up among orcs and goblins of the worst description, to quote Gandalf, and so they did not want people sort of coming up and under against them. That is in fact one of the things that kind of happened, you might remember, over in Mountain Hall, where you had goblins and orcs kind of digging their way from underneath. So your guess is that they don't have any passageways that are going to be easily accessible, and certainly not from this side. Maybe they had other things that led to the north into the kind of main area of the Withered Heath, if you know what I mean, the spot between the mountains, but not going this direction. Very unlikely.
Oh, okay.
The spot between the mountains being like what, like around like this part,
or a little bit farther west than that, so more like, say,
this movement.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
So wait, what was like the western path we could take again? Like the eastern path. Not
The eastern
western
path is up here, so the eastern path is up this way. Extremely narrow and high, though, and again, no safety net. You know, if someone slips, you're they're not likely to make it. Also, there is likely to be
better than being like eaten alive by whatever is like down in this gorge.
Not necessarily.
No, yeah.
I have a solution for all of you. Split the party. You go north, and the rest of them go in the gorge, and it'll be great.
No. Yeah. Okay.
What? Nothing. Just go. Just go. Just trust
Trent
me.
knows what's up.
Just go.
Okay.
Keep rolling. Just go.
I don't know what happened.
Good. Don't. Just keep going.
Was it something I said?
No. Just go.
Are you lying?
No.
So anyway, yeah, okay. We're almost, so we have 12 minutes before I have to leave. So it sounds like there are secret ways of navigating the tower itself, but not necessarily secret ways to the tower. This is actually good information to have, because it does seem to suggest that like our only way forward is through. That does actually help to determine that. Although I think that, I don't know, River is still persuaded that there must be something about a giant beast somewhere, or giant beasts. But at this point, like, you know, so presumably they have spent hours poring over this in order to get this information.
Yes.
So I think River is actually going to be quite frustrated by this and stand up and yeah, because she can't read it either, and she's just like, so what I'm imagining essentially is they've spent hours, they've deciphered this thing, Tawny reads it out, says there's a secret chamber and there's full of treasure and stuff. And River is going to like stand up and like radiate frustration and say, "Why is it always treasure with you people? What is everything about treasure and chambers of treasure? Aren't there more important things to fill your books with than how much wealth there is? There's."
What do you mean, you people?
No. I'm sorry, that was out of line. That was uncalled for, I apologize. But I think that I need to I think we need to learn something about what is down there. And I think I should go down there and look. I am the lookout. What else should I do?
Not go alone.
Not go at all? I think we should take the path on the side of the mountain.
Inga, I can't do this for that much longer. I can't. This place is so heavy. I'd rather have axes in my hand and face a creature that wants to kill me than spend another week in this gray, dark place. I'm sorry, I'm just tired. I'm very tired. I know we're all tired, but...
I mean, I understand what... I just want us to do this right. I mean, my mom's life is on the line for this.
I know. That's why I want to do this. I don't want to fail you in this. I don't want to... It's so much easier to fight monsters than it is to just walk here or sit here. But I will do whatever you want us to do. I will. I
don't know what I want to do. I'm just like trying to do whatever seems like would cause the least amount of damage and or like has the least risk, because everything depends on us succeeding. And I mean, if you really think that like it's worth the risk to go through the gorge and everybody else agrees, then yes, absolutely, let's go through the gorge. But I just don't know.
How long do you estimate it would take for us to go through the gorge versus along that path there? Because for every day we add to our trip is another day that your mother comes a little bit closer.
Don't say it. I don't want to hear it. We are going through the gorge. Okay. It's just pick out things.
River, before the day goes to pack up, she just kind of like stands awkwardly next to Inga for a second and then hugs her really, really hard and fiercely in a way that she seems to almost need more than she is giving, and sort of is a little weepy, and she just says, I'm so sorry, I'm not stronger than this, Inga. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said things. I'm so sorry.
And Tawny sort of pushes Robar into the hug.
Oh yeah, Robar!
and then puts his arms around everybody, and it's like, everybody shut up.
Stone butts up against the group hug.
Tawny just picks up Lilimon in one arm and puts it
And they all get flattened by the pony.
Now, the question is, are you making your way down, now that you've had a chance to do this, are you making your way down in the, because you did this through the afternoon into the evening, so you could try to go in the morning. It's not going to make a difference to your exhaustion levels. It's just whether you want to try to do this in the morning or in the evening.
I think we should try doing this overnight, and Inga takes point because she can see in the dark.
Okay.
It might
I think that
be
makes
the
sense.
wisest.
Okay.
Like everything.
through here.
Everything.
Oh, and
else
also
might-
she's gonna bind something like pouches over Liliman's hooves so that they don't clacker.
Okay, good. So I was going to say, that makes sense. So what I would like you all to do is make your wisdom saving throw for the evening that I was going to do, all right? And then
I think I want to use my
Your inspiration?
for
inspiration.
That. Can
that
I?
Seems like, oh, of course. Yes.
Okay.
You absolutely can.
Does anyone want to inspire the river as
Does anyone wish to inspire the river against her shadow, her growing shadow?
Might be a good
Ooh,
idea.
I needed that.
Oh,
I
wow.
really needed that.
Nice.
No, that goes 20 takes one away, right? Right?
No, it does not.
Oh.
It does not. Arudinel has redeemed. Okay, Arudinel has redeemed Arvanot inspiration, so he's got an inspiration, and Nonstop has inspired the river. Wait, Arudinel, what? Don't inspire it yet.
Oh, okay, 2 inspirations!
Yeah, no. Nonstop can inspire the river, and then the river, you can use that and then be inspired by Arudinel, so that's fine. And yes, we
Okay,
used both of our
great.
Arvanot inspiration points. That's awesome. Cool.
Hooray! Thank you guys. Thank you so much, Nonstop. Thank you so much, Ordinal. Here we go. Inspiration.
Okay, Tawny is fine. Wow, and again, this is why you use inspiration.
Natural.
The
This is why
hug
you use
came
inspiration.
through!
Yep.
This is all because we hugged!
It's the hug. It is definitely the hug. Well, see what Robar does. See what Robar does.
Friendship.
Except Robar's like,
Because Tawny pushed him into it.
exactly. You made me do it, so
Yay!
working as intended. Good stuff, everybody. Good stuff. Thank you
Thank
to
you,
Nasir
friends!
Oh.
Friendship
right.
is magic!
It really
I
is
was
true.
about to say that.
All right, now I want to make sure we get
Great,
into this
great.
before Amal has to leave. So as we,
Right.
unless you have something quickly to say, but I want to make sure I get you into this before you depart. We're good? Are you good for
Yep.
a few minutes? Okay.
Everybody takes a potty break before we leave, I
Okay,
guess.
so yes, exactly. So you head down into this gully, if you will, and as you are sort of walking along between this gully, the walls, the mountain walls rise to the east and to the west, and the scent here, the sulfur is less, but the tang is more. And as you sort of go along, you can smell more of this. And then as you are going along, you realize as you're kind of looking up, so you're walking along the gorge, and the opening is actually set above you, these cave openings, basically. But I would like everyone here, and in particular, no, actually not everyone, I'm sorry, Inga, I beg your pardon, who is also the scout in addition to being able to see in the dark. I would like you to make a perception check for me, please. You can do this at advantage.
Neato. 11. 14, sorry.
14, yeah.
I just
okay.
like saying 11, okay?
So there's two things.
11!
11. So I love that one. So there's two things here. First of all, you notice that there's cave mounds again to your east and to your west, and you notice that there are in the sort of very steep mountain wall next to you to the side of the gorge on the western side and the eastern side, there are what look like scratch and claw marks. And as you look more closely, they're enormous claw marks, and you can actually see that the claw marks look as if they're almost claw and footholds, as if someone or something is using this as a ladder to get up into the cave and out of it. And as you look at that, you also hear very faintly coming from the cave a
There are absolutely sleeping dragons here.
Something
There are-
snoring. Doesn't sound like a dragon, but there is something snoring,
Oh,
or at least
because
not
we
as
know
big
what
as
a dragon
well, I
sounds
should say
like.
not as big as a dragon. Let me put it that
Right.
way. Something is snoring.
Dragons!
Something is snoring in not just the cave to your west, but to the east. And as you look forward, it's one of those moments where the camera pans back, right? And you're looking around, and then you see that these claw marks go up to every cave, and there is essentially snoring happening from every cave. So the reason that so essentially you're walking through a gorge, and something is snoring in all the caves that flank it. So the thing that this is going to do mechanically is, assuming you don't want to wake up whatever is slumbering in the cave, I'm going to be asking all of you to make a series of stealth checks as you are crossing in front of each of these claw-marked pathways up to a mouth of a cave. Unless you want to just like bang on your shield and go come out. But assuming you don't want to do that,
We
then
don't
that's what
have
we're
a
looking at.
shield, so...
Oh, you know what I'm saying. Like, on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You're saying bang on the shield.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good idea to not do that, and instead to be stealthy. Yes, let's be stealthy.
All right, so I'm going to ask everyone
Yeah,
then to
what
make...
do your dwarf ears
Could-
hear?
I'm so sorry, but it is 101, and I really do have to go.
Okay.
Is it possible to like pause on the we are walking through a creepy cave full of sleeping creatures?
We could, but I do have you at 12:56, not 101. It's
Oh.
It's 5. You're 5 minutes.
Right.
fast.
Okay. I forgot. The Mac for some reason is 5 minutes off of my phone. Sorry,
Okay.
I forgot. Okay.
So because what I'd love to do is
careful.
to do the checks and then stop, but that's my hope. So.
okay. All right. Here we go.
All right. So check number 1 for everybody, and that means everybody, including the animals.
Then
Using-
you are gonna have to roll for Lilliman because he doesn't have a character sheet.
Oh, okay. Then you can do that. Let's see. What do we? Did we ever make a character Dexter thing for him?
No, because like I never use when it's combat, he always stays out of it, so it's never.
So let's
needed.
just have it be a 10 let's have him just be a base like 10 dexterity, and therefore just a flat 20 is fine. Just roll a 20 for him.
Wait a second.
You have a plus for having his hooves.
Oh yes, that's quite right. Yes, do it at
Yeah.
advantage because his hooves are covered. Yes, quite right. That was I remember thinking that was a good idea, and you're right. Stone obviously has his own dexterity score, so he can do that himself.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna do stone first.
Okay. So check number 1 of 3.
And stone presumably doesn't benefit from River's inspiration.
No.
Okay.
Where's Dex? Stealth there. Ah,
Okay.
oof. 11? No, that's 8. Oof.
Okay.
Okay. Stone is at 16.
Okay. Rabara the 11, Stone with the 16, Inga with the 8.
What did you say? D20 at advantage, yes?
Just a D20, just a flat. Yeah, just a regular D20 roll, just a flat D20 roll. Okay. Right. There's Tawny.
So 2 8s from me.
Okay, 2 8s, and then the River 17. Okay.
Yeah.
So Tawny, River, and Stone and Robar all managed to make their way past the first opening, but as they go, both Inga and Lilliman, I think the way that I imagine this is that Lilliman kind of, accidentally stumbles a little bit, and then Inga kind of like tries to stop him a little bit from, like, shh, type of thing, and kind of bumps a little bit. So I need you to make another check for me, please. You hear the snoring kind of like sort of changes a note. So make that check again for both you and for Lilliman, please.
Okay.
Terry.
22. Okay.
You like stop breathing, Okay, so it goes, and then apparently falls back asleep. Okay, let's check 1-1. Check number 2. Second verse, same as the first. So you're about heading on here past these caves. Okay.
Natural 20.
Wow, you just
Everybody makes it.
you just become smoke. They just like pass over. Okay.
10.
Why do I
20
keep
at
seeing a 3 and then a 10? It's like it looks like there's 2 rolls.
Because I
of
have
each one.
advantage.
Oh, I see, because you're rolling advantage. Yes. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, so 10. Yep, okay. And I think that was everybody. Oh, no, we don't have River and Stone for this second
Oh,
one yet.
sorry, your second one, right? So this is stone.
Thank you, Captain Sausages, for the follow. Welcome.
So stone 13.
13, okay.
Sorry, do I still have inspiration? I had 2 inspirations.
Yes, that's right, because you had used up one. Arudno gave you seconds, so you have an inspiration at the moment. Yes. Are you using it here?
Saving it for next week.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like actually I should probably save it.
Up to you.
I'm gonna save it.
Okay. Okay. So this second one, the 14. So this second one, all of you move past that one fairly quietly. Nothing stirs. And now the last set of caves / openings in front of you as you go along.
Oh wait, are we doing the third check now?
Yeah.
This is the third and final check, yes. Okay. Little bar.
17. No, wait. Yes, 17.
You're going to take the 17 instead of the 1, yep. Tani with the 9. We'll talk about that in a minute.
And another natural 20.
No, wow, look at you. I'm ignoring chat's stealth checks. Good job. Chat is totally quiet. Chat is silently moving.
Tenterhooks.
Yes. That leaves just Tani. Who,
And Stone and River.
and Stone Row. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So this
Beg
is
your pardon.
Stone.
Okay. Stone with the 6.
Oops. Okay.
Okay, and the River. River with the
20.
Okay. So
Okay.
I'd say as you're moving along, Stone stumbles a little bit into Tani, who kind of stumbles a bit forward. So I need Tani and Stone to make those checks again. Everyone else passed it.
Is it possible to inspire Stone?
I suppose. If anyone wants to inspire Stone, you could. So
No! What? Oh god!
So-
Tani, no!
you go past that as you go past the last cave, sort of quietly going through the gorge. Tani, who stumbles, tries to catch himself and beginning gets tired, puts his hand up against the wall and then kind of accidentally pulls down a little bit and rock, and you hear. And emerging from the cave mouth, you see standing above you, this final cave mouth, you see standing above you what I have just shown on screen. And as this baleful, large, white creature looks down upon you, that is where we will call an end to today's session.
Ah! Of course it was the third and final cave, Tony!
It's the final cave.
I didn't even re-roll Stone because there was like no
Doesn't
point.
matter.
But yeah, I'm actually just gonna do it anyway. I'm just gonna do it anyway, just
Yeah,
to see
just
if
to
I
show
can
you.
continue to blame Tony. No, okay,
I
fair,
can't blame
fine.
Oh, look, my ex, Evil
we're
Marinus.
we're just tangled in each other.
It just like, okay, fine, it's fine. It's fine. We're at the third set of caves. We can just run from here. We can run.
I can't wait to
Listen.
see how you guys handle this next time on Adventures in Middle Earth. It was
And I was
Oh,
thinking,
I know how I handle this. I use the time freezing ability on the stone while it up. When he throws it, then jump on the stone, wait for the time freeze to stop, and then fly away while riding the stone.
again, I
Breath of the
adore
Wild style.
I adore aspirational role playing. I really do.
Okay, I have
but
to go.
she's got to
sorry.
get going. So Amal,
yeah,
how'd you feel about
so
today? Where will the fine folks see you next?
Today was awesome and harrowing and upsetting and sad and full of really good role playing. And I love you guys and you're awesome. And I enjoyed just about everything. I loved the wind harping and the river starting to give into her to a
That was
darker
great, by the way,
nature.
Amal. Well done. That was
Thank
really
you.
nice.
It was
Really
awful.
nice.
I was so happy that
Really nice.
that Trent picked up on the bad thing that was happening there,
Really nice work. Yeah.
and also just like the power of hugs. The power of we should just
That
hug
was
each
sweet.
other more.
That
We
was
should just
sweet.
hug each other more. And then I love that the dice, complied in that respect. And yeah, that's pretty great. You will not be. I mean, I am on the internet. Oh, I should say. This is How You Lose the Time War, the book that I co-wrote with Max Godstone, is coming out in paperback in 1 week's time in North America. It's already in paperback in the UK, but if you're in North America and you would like a slightly cheaper copy of this very beautiful looking book, in paperback with a shiny step back cover and stuff, and a quote from Ken Liu that says seditious and seductive on it,
Nice.
which is very pleasing, then you can pre-order that right now. Pre-orders are extremely helpful to authors, so if y'all want to do any pre-ordering of paperbacks, that would be fantastic. From your local indie or from wherever you buy books is all good. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Tithanai and on Substack at amal.substack.com, and I have a website that's amalelmokhtar.com, and that's pretty much it for now. And I love y'all. I will talk to you guys later.
Thanks so much, Amel. Flying Enemy says, I read that. I lost 3 Time Wars so far this year. Very instructive.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, see you, Mel. Thanks so much.
I'm taking this out so I can still hear you while I get ready to go.
Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, I really was a huge fan of that role play at the end there was really great. So I loved it. Good stuff. Moving right on up the line. Everybody, of course, has been experiencing this as the shadow points just kind of tick up and up and up and up. And it was really interesting to me, Terry, to see the way that Inga was definitely thinking of like, we should not, the gorge is a bad idea. We should not go in the gorge. Like it made a lot of sense that you were trying to think of alternatives to sort of get into that. I thought that was very good, consistent play. And, it wasn't your fault that like someone happened to stumble into a wall and wake a troll. I mean, that's...
Yeah, Tony is fired.
How did you feel about today? Where will the lovely people see you next?
Well, I mean, today was awesome again. I'm sorry for like not really being there a whole lot, like from the head and stuff like that. Just really, really tired today. I'm sorry. I have that sometimes. But yeah, aside from me being my usual brain farty self, very, very good. Very, very bad ending.
By which you mean very, very awesome ending.
Yeah, sure. We're gonna get a rocks fall, everybody dies moment, I feel. But yeah, yeah, awesome stuff. And we need to talk about emoji stuff.
Yes.
Because I had some ideas while playing.
Oh, I would love to hear these ideas.
I'll not tell on stream.
Okay.
It's a secret.
Can you stick around for a couple minutes when we're done?
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about it. Okay, awesome. Good stuff. Thank you, Terry. You should also follow Terry on various places, on the Twitters. She has a Patreon, etc. And good stuff. So you should follow it, and of course you'll see her doing game book illustration streams as well. But you will see her next week for AME as we do the second session of the month, which promises to be very eventful on multiple levels as we move into the home stretch here of the Wilderland Adventures campaign. Right above that, we have Robar Staunton, played by Will Jones, who will be back with us next week. Again, he had personal stuff that he had to attend to today, but he will be back with us next week. You should follow him on all the things, particularly Kobold Press that he runs right now, Twitch's channel, and also Encounter Roleplay. So you can check that out and him out there, and we will have him back next week. And last but certainly not least, of course, we have Tani, played by Tren, and Tren did... I was really enjoying also the experience of kind of, you sort of being like, well, here's the knowledge that we need. Here's how we're going to try to get it if we can possibly get it. I don't really know what best knowledge to work with. I feel like Tani has been spending a lot of time, and I had this image of you sitting there in the campfire while River gets up and angrily, snaps at Inga, sort of, or at least in general at Inga's people.
Never snap at Inga, just at like dusty old scholars.
At dusty old scholars, yes. But then apologize to Inga, and you sort of sitting there being like, I was waiting for you to be like, get a hold of yourself, or something like that. I wasn't sure what you were going to do, and then the sort of bear hug made all of that, moot, and it all worked out. So how'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
I did it, and it was wonderful. Yeah, like I told you guys, the pendulum swing is coming back. I have known for a while that those saving throws are going to start failing.
Eventually.
Those failing throws, you mean?
Yeah, failing throws will start to succeed. But yeah, where will people see me next time? We'll be back here on Saturday.
For Infinity Beyond, where Curse Strahd is actually also in the mountains right now in a
very
temple.
cold place.
Very cold place. Yep.
Well,
This is the crossover. This is my MCU crossover moment where you all meet each other and
It's momentarily very warm, though.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
true. Yes, and occasionally an explosion of warmth, if you will.
Yes,
for a
yes.
moment.
Very, very brief and intense warmth. But that, and then hopefully sometime this week, my latest narration for Drabblecast will go up, because apparently they contacted me on like Friday and were like, "Can you get this done this weekend? Oh my God, we need this done now." And I'm like, "Okay, sure, yeah, I can do that." And it's all about this guy who's a were teddy bear, and it's just really funny. It's kind of, I mean, it's Drabblecast, so it's meant to be kind of, ooh, kind of scary, creepy kind of thing. But yeah, it's called the Full Moon Group, and it's hopefully going to be publishing this week, which will be great. Aside from that, a whole bunch of other stuff that's being recorded this week that'll come up later, and another narration for the Escape Pod, which will come up in 2 weeks, I think. And then part 1 in 2 weeks, and then part 2 probably the week after that. Is craziness.
Good stuff. I cannot wait to hear all of these things. And also, as I mentioned before, for those of you who might have missed us talking about this, Trent is also participating in the Greyshade Kickstarter as part of the audiobook that's going to be done for Greyshade. But again, this is on hold whilst the world works out what it's going to do with a global pandemic, which has shut down a good portion of what every board game industry relies on, which is China manufacturing. So that means that, the ironic thing, I suppose, of all of this is that China, which is the cases of which have, begun to now drop precipitously, let's hope that continues, may be at a point where they will be capable of manufacturing and sending out again at the same time that the people they would be manufacturing and sending to are dealing with things on their end. So this is a little bit of, speaking of pendulum swinging, we're all obviously dealing with that at the moment. But anyway, you will hear more of stuff from Tren coming on with those to come in the next couple of weeks. But this was great stuff, and I hope you folks enjoyed it, and I hope you will be back with us next week here at 10 a.m. Eastern when the full crew will be here. We'll have to deal with the snow troll, and then assuming that they get past the trolls, we'll have to move on to, hopefully almost get to the watchtower of Zarakanbar. So we will see whether that happens. But in the meantime, can I get some love and respect and honor and so forth for the amazing crew of AME? Thank you so much to Trendane. Thank you so much to Will, who'll be back this next week. Thank you so much to Terry Tunes, and thank you so much to Amal Elmatar. Lovely people, wonderful role players, good friends, and I will talk to all of you folks, especially Terry, in about 5 minutes, but everybody else I'll talk to very soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Good stuff. And thank you, by the way, to chat for a good turnout today and people being focused on and helping with those inspirations, because those inspirations really did help. I mean, dealing with the troll is going to be a problem, but dealing with the troll at the end of the gorge is a lot better than dealing with the troll in the middle of the gorge where they have to run one way or the other. So it could be a lot worse, I guess is what I'm saying. But we'll see what happens. Will they run from the troll? Will they fight the troll? Will they befriend the troll? Who knows? These are all things which are possible, and we will see how that all works. But I want to thank all of you for being awesome. And actually, I believe, let me just double check, but I think it may be that we have nominations coming today for the Chat Chosen Game of the Month. I need to double check, though. Hold on, I'm just exiting the game here. Let me befriend the hey, nobody ever talks to the troll. Maybe the troll is, this is like, you have no way of knowing. The troll sacrifices, exactly. And his name is Bob. Or D-Head the troll. Maybe the chat will like the troll, we have no way of knowing. Let's see. Okay, no. So nominations are not until next week. Okay, nominations to the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game of the Month. Okay, so that's next week. So I do want to make one quick announcement here, or hug the troll. I do want to make one quick announcement. Which is my nose is itchy. I do want to make one quick announcement here before we close up shop. First of all, just a reminder about schedule. I will be back today at 4 p.m. Eastern over on GOG for Pen and Pixels. We will be wrapping up Heroes of the Monkey Tavern today and then going back into The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And we are scheduled for D&D with GOG in 2 weeks. So Storm King's Thunder will return at that time. I want to make one quick note here just about my schedule. This is all still very surreal to me, so I'm just sort of explaining it as I understand it. So because of what's going on with the coronavirus, most of you know that I live in New York, and I teach at St. John's University, which is a large private Catholic university in New York City. And so St. John's actually announced yesterday that it is moving all of its educational operations to online until March 27th. So that means that I will not be meeting my students face-to-face for the next few weeks. That is... So that's kind of, I don't teach online for a reason. I do a lot of stuff online. Like, for example, right now I do live streaming online. And so that's going to be kind of a little frustrating for me. I mean, it's, it is, I understand why they're doing it. I totally get it, but it just means that it's going to be difficult. So no, you're not going to get to see me every day. But what it does mean is that I'm probably going to be using Zoom, is my guess, to try to sort of video conference into my classes or whatever. Anyway, the only reason I bring this up is I don't know entirely whether or how this will affect my streaming schedule over the next few weeks. It would not like reduce the number of streams. It's conceivable that it might move them around a little bit. And the only reason is because I'm going to have to do some test streams and like a couple of different things, I don't know, to sort of see. Like one of the things I want to be able to sort of check is I want to be able to stress test how many people I can get on Zoom, because theoretically Zoom is supposed to be able to manage, at the certain business/pro account that I have, is supposed to be able to handle like 200 people at a time, and I only have a maximum of 22. I've got a class of 22 kids, 22 students, a class of 19 students, and one class of 17. So is that right? 22, 241. No. 22, 20, and 19. That's what it is. So I have a class of 22, a class of 20, and a class of 19. So I think it'll be fine. But I want to be able to do a stress test and things like that. So I can't... I do. Yeah, that's true. It's funny, Rhiannon, and I was thinking about that. Like I do have experience with other streams, with streams. It's just that like a lot of what I do here, I didn't think was necessarily directly applicable because, for example, I mean, I do a lot of stuff which I think has educational value, but I have, privacy considerations with students in my classes that I have to keep into account. I obviously have to grade my students. I have to assess how they're doing. There's multiple things that are a little bit different about that. But that said, I think I may do some similar things. So what I might do is I might at some point do a kind of test stream. I might do this in the next few days even, where I might do a test stream where I basically run a short period of a class. So basically like essentially run a little bit of a class to talk about a particular book, right? And sort of, but I would use you folks as kind of the guinea pigs to make sure that there is interactivity that's possible with that, and that I can actually sort of respond and get things back from people. So I might be able to do that one way or the other. So I don't know. I'll think about that. But I'm just letting you folks know that I may ask members of the community, like, can people give me a hand and just be willing to pop on for, 10, 15 minutes or so, hopefully with webcams or at the very least microphones, so that we can have like a discussion with more people. So it's not just me, because typically with Zoom, I mean, I'm talking with maybe 6 other people, right? Like in Infinity and Beyond, or 5 other people, let's say. And at most I've done, I think maybe 8 at a time. But I've never had 22 people that I'm trying to kind of coordinate. So again, it's not a perfect analogy or perfectly analogous to what I'm going to be doing in the class, but I might do something like that. So we will see. Anyway, it's actually good to know, Genly, that you managed a Zoom conference. I hope it will be fine. I think it probably will be okay. It's just that my classes are very discussion oriented. So that's one of the reasons that I'm worried about this, because it's not as simple as just like, oh, just do a lecture. Like I usually do little mini lectures, especially in my literature courses, as opposed to my creative writing course. I'll do a little mini lecture, and then I'll usually in that mini lecture will, lay out certain things. And then, and that'll usually be like a 10-minute thing or something. And then most of the class is driven by discussion. So I need to make sure that that discussion is something. Law, what's up, man? How are you, dude? Good to see you. So I'm going to need to make sure that I have discussion that I'm having in that regard. So anyway, I will think about it. I'll figure out how to do it and all that, but we will consider it. So that's the case. Will there be a test? Not well, the funny thing actually about that super stand is that this Thursday, which is the Oh, I don't think so it doesn't seem to do that in my thing. Is that midterms? This is midterm week. So I'm actually was supposed to be doing midterms on Thursday, and then I ended up postponing it to Monday, and then it turns out they canceled it on Monday anyway. So I'm gonna have to the midterms. I don't even know what I'm gonna do about that. I mean, that's whatever. Listen. This is an unusual situation. Everyone knows it's an unusual situation, so it is what it is. And it will be fine. It will end up being fine, and it will be fine. It will end up being fine, and it will. Okay. All right. I'm looking. Oh, okay. So these are the people who have them. So now I should be marking it. Yeah, I know exactly, Super Stan. We'll figure it out. But it's whatever. I'll work it out. So well, I don't want to reject it. I want to mark it as complete, right? Don't I want to mark his as complete? Thank you, Ghost. I appreciate it, man. I mean, it'll be okay. It's just like, I mean, I've been teaching for 25 years, and I've been teaching on the college level since 1994. So yeah, I've been actually 26 years. I've been teaching on the college level for 26 years, and I've been teaching in some capacity for 27. Yeah. So we want to mark all. I mean, shouldn't I mark Arudinel complete? Because Arudinel just used his he used his inspiration already, didn't he? Yeah, 100% on midterms. I don't know, Law. The whole thing's going to be crazy. Don't I mark that complete? Because I think he used it. So don't I mark that complete, Coven, or am I misunderstanding? I just mark it complete. Oh, so if I mark it as complete, then it reloads? Is that what you're saying? So if I mark it as complete, you're saying that then it would reload? So I don't want to mark it as complete. Is that what you're saying? Yes? No, I'm asking. So I shouldn't mark it until the end of the month. Right. You're saying I should not mark it, correct? Until the end of the month. Right. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. That's good. That makes sense. Lovely. Okay. But that is going to do it for me for today on this channel, but not overall, because I will be back, as I say, on GOG at 4 p.m. Eastern. So I will be back at 4 p.m. Eastern. But I'm going to head on out of here. I need to talk to Terry Toons about some emotes. And then I need to do some work and specifically send some emails out to students before I have my stream this evening at 4 p.m. So that's going to do it for me. I had a really good time today. And, it's weird. It's like as much as this situation is frustrating and difficult, and as much, of course, as it's really dangerous for people, I am glad that we have sort of an environment and a community set up like this so that there is a sense of people, and Twitch in general, that there is a sense that people feel like they don't have to feel quite as alone, even if they're sort of self-separating and, self-quarantining or whatever the term is. So hang in there, everybody. I know that this is a frightening thing for the world to confront. We will get through it. But it's definitely something where care and safety and no panic, just care and safety and resolve will get us through this. Looking at what happened in China and in South Korea, the cases are definitely beginning to flatten out there, which is good. It means that their moves have actually begun to have an effect. And so that's good. It means that we are giving ourselves the time that we're going to need to be able to fight this. But in the meantime, wash your hands, try to keep away from huge groups of people in places where there has been community spread, and keep track of your own country's website information. Please do not take unsourced information from Twitter, and please do not say, but wait, I heard from my cousin's friend who's the best friend of my sister's brother's blah, blah, blah. Don't do any of that, okay? Just try to focus on the actual rigorously tested sources. Try to focus on those as best you can, and we will do that. Oh, God's forbid is right, Coven. God's forbid, amen. Right. But even if China is making stuff up to a degree, or making some stuff up, it's clear that it's started to get better in some respect, one way or the other. So that's positive. And that may suggest that there's a way through this. And in the least we know, South Korea has had that same effect. So, but that is going to do it for me. I want to thank everyone for being here. Don't forget to check the YouTube with !ArvTube, Twitter with !ArvTweets, Discord with !ArvCord. Don't forget as well to check out the website, arvanellarun.com. Patreon is !ArvTreon. There you go. Don't believe numbers, believe trends. That's a good way to put it. Exactly. That's a very good way to put it, Marinda. Don't forget to check out the Patreon, !ArvTreon, the shop, !ArvShop, and of course, the sub button right above that video window. Thank you for those of you who have subbed today and resubbed today, and thank you all for using your inspirations and channel points and all that kind of good stuff. But that's going to do it for me. I am so glad you were all here, and so glad to my wonderful players. Special thanks to my players, Terry Tunes, Amal Elmatar, Trendane, and of course, even though Will was not with us, Encounter Roleplay was with us in spirit, and he will be with us next week, so that'll be good as well. Okay, I am glad about that, although I'm glad that you're letting us know that, Coven, although yes, please, let us all make sure that something doesn't happen to ourselves, please. Let's try to hold things together. But in seriousness, obviously, I'm glad that you have something in place in case something awful was to happen. But let's not have something awful happen to us, okay? Thank you to my wonderful mods, Rudinell, Coven Guy, Terry Tunes. Thank you as well to my subscribers, Rudinell, Coven Guy, Terry Tunes, Nonstop, Ali Freeborn, Superstand, and Trendane. Thank you all so much. You're lovely people. Thank you as well to my Patreon supporters who don't show up on that list but are amazing and awesome, and thank you. Thank you to my viewers, another TT viewer, Axiomatic Human, Commander Root, ECAG, Evil Marinin, Genly, Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost of Christmas Future. Well, how could I say that? Ghost of Christmas Future, Carohemd, Kitra, Lurks, Moobot, I guess, Marinda, PKD Fan, Questionable Results, Showun Ku, U Christensen, VNK, Virgo Praz, Wenchkin, of course, and Zianicon, and I know It's Law jumped in here for a little bit, so thank you to all of you wonderful people for showing up today. I will be over on GOG at 4 p.m. Eastern for Heroes of the Monkey Tavern, and I will see all of you lovely people. You're always ahead of Moobot. That's the way to look at it, Marinda. You're always, Moobot's there, but you're always the person that matters even more than Moobot, because you're not a bot. But that's going to do it for me. Thanks, everyone. Much love, and I will see all of you wonderful people very soon. Until then, everyone, be good to each other, and don't be a troll, especially a snow troll. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.